to strike the entire jury veneer after all jurors heard an allegation that appellant had attempted to poison the victim in this case. We agree in reverse. So yes,
the trial court had ruled to be inadmissible.
Judge, you're 100% correct on that point. However, just because it's deemed relevant, which is what the state says, and you're saying, well, it would be deemed relevant on impeachment. And that's the argument you're basically making. It doesn't.
I'm not making the argument. That's my ruling.
Correct.
It's impeachment only. That's the only.
But it doesn't change the 403 analysis. And the fact of the matter is, everybody, Your Honor, Mr. Williams, Miss Lori, were well aware that Mr. Shihadeh was going to what he was going to testify to, the same as last time. So they stipulated, right? They entered into a stipulation, knowing what Mr. Williams is going to testify to, Tim Williams, what Mr. Shihadeh was going to testify to. They do a stipulation, so we're preparing for trial, and we're saying, well, this isn't coming in. They agree it's unfairly prejudicial. They know what our witnesses are going to testify to. And now this time around, they're saying, well, on impeachment, we can get into it. This should have been addressed pre-trial. So we had some ability to prepare for this. Now, just in terms of stipulations, Judge, we believe, the state waived its right to introduce this evidence by stipulating to the exclusion in the first place. And I'm going to quote.
They did.
I know. I'm going to quote to. I think it applies to impeachment also, and I'm going to reference U.S. v. Campbell from the 10th Circuit. Stipulations freely and voluntarily entered into in criminal trials are as binding and enforceable as those entered into in civil trials. Now, I'm going to take some notes. Give me 1 second, Your Honor. Allowing the state to go back on the stipulation. And it's more than a stipulation. It was a ruling. And I wanted specificity in this ruling, and I feel like we didn't get specificity. And that's why I said, Judge, I want a specific ruling. And then you said, well, I'll grant that on 403 grounds. You didn't say subject to impeachment. Everyone knew what he was going to testify to. So on the motion, on each motion, right up there, granted 403. All right, it wasn't granted 403, subject to.
Mr. Rosenfeld, it doesn't matter. You put a witness on the stand. If there's a prior inconsistent statement, any prior inconsistent statement, no party, state or defense, has to leave an inconsistent statement left unchallenged. If they have evidence, if they have a sworn statement that is inconsistent with what the witness is now testifying to, they have the right to impeach. We're on the defense case at this point. This is a defense witness. They have the right to impeach. They do not have the right to bring this in as substantive evidence to now argue to rebut the state's or the defense's case of manufacture, all the things we discussed before. I don't think it comes in for that purpose, nor can it. And it can't come in unless this witness says something which this statement will impeach, and only if he says something that this statement will impeach.
But he has to, just him saying he didn't think that she wanted to kill her husband, then bringing up this poisoning allegation is not a prior inconsistent statement. It's a new allegation.
Well, no, if he says, I don't believe that she had in her, what, he was serious, and a legitimate impeachment question is, well, didn't she tell you she'd tried before? You're saying you didn't think she was serious, she told you she had done it before. That's impeachment.
What happened?
He doesn't believe that. Mr. Rosenfeld outlined his motion. Shihadeh doesn't believe that statement that Dippolito made to him about the poisoning.
Well, then he can say that.
Judge, if I could just quickly reference, and this is the problem with your court's ruling, and this is how we see it on a due process, why it's just an egregious due process violation. The state stipulates, they're well aware that Mr. Shihadeh is going to come in here, we're going to bring him in, he's going to get consistent testimony. Right? There's no question that Tim Williams is coming in here, Mohammed Shihadeh is coming in here. They know that's going to happen. So they stipulate, you know what, Mr. Rosenfeld, poisoning, it's not coming in. Now, knowing that Mr. Shihadeh is going to testify to that, they're like, oh wait, Judge, it's coming in. That's called sandbagging.
It may not be coming in. I don't know what his testimony is.
It's the same as last time. Everyone knows that he didn't think she was going to get killed. The state knows what he's going to testify to. That's how retrials work. Your Honor's presided over more trials than I've tried.
You're pretty sure of that.
Yeah, you've been doing this for. You're incredibly experienced. You're incredibly respected. You know this, Judge. And on top of that, the lack of competent evidence You know, I mean, there's no foundation, there's no competent evidence, and I'm going to read to you. I brought the quotes this time for the court, and this needs to be on the record. Mr. Shihadeh testified he didn't know when Ms. Dippolito allegedly stated she attempted to poison her husband. Story 1. Story 2. He said he initially learned about Ms. Dippolito's attempting to do this before he went to the Middle East in May of 2009. The issue of any alleged tea poisoning didn't come up until after July 24, 2009. Number 3. Mr. Shihadeh then receded from his testimony and stated, I think it was before, I mean, I can't tell you if it was before or after. And he was referring to whether it was before or after he took a trip to the Middle East in May of 2009. Number 4, Mr. Shihadeh testified he did not call the police or make a police report about the poisoning because he did not believe it. Number 5, he further stated he did not think it was poison, nor did he believe her because there were so many jokes going around. Number 6, he never took it serious enough to do anything about it. Number 7, Mr. Shihadeh refers to the substance Mr. Dippolito is alleged to have attempted to poison her then husband with as freon, not antifreeze, as the state previously suggested. Number 8, the computer seized from Ms. Dippolito's home. The state had it forensically examined by 2 state forensic examiners from the Palm Beach County Sheriff's Office, and there was no information found on the computer regarding any poisoning. Now, Judge Colbath's ruling, and this is why I asked for specific rulings on these, Judge. Judge Colbath's ruling stated that the door, I think it said, you know, the door could be open. He was specific in how he phrased it. We weren't given that opportunity. We weren't given that notice. We weren't given the opportunity for Mr. Claypool to address it on opening, to address it with Officer Marino, to address it with, I guess why you shall be inapplicable, for me to address it with Sergeant Frank Ramsey, for us to address it with Tim Williams, for us to investigate this, hire an investigator to investigate this allegation, for us to subpoena the forensic examiners to come in here and testify, for us to investigate other officers who might have potentially, I guess, been involved in the investigation of this poison, to you know, they bring it up minutes before Mr. Shihadeh, and 2 hours before Mr. Shihadeh is going to testify. I have never been this sandbagged or prejudiced. Had we known that this could possibly come in, had this been raised, the motion in limine, when they said, nope, it's not coming in, we would have been prepared. We are not prepared. I mean, Dippolito's due process rights are just eviscerated right here, Judge. I cannot go forward right now, nor can Mr. Claypool, and effectively represent Ms. Dippolito at this stage in the proceeding with the previous ruling being that unclear. And that's why I wanted clarity at that motion in limine on everything. And I was just insistent on it.
Mr. Rosenfeld, I told you, and I've repeatedly told you, anytime I granted the motion in limine, it was granted. You asked on a 403 basis, on a 403 basis. I told you repeatedly, this trial, last trial, and I'll tell anyone who litigates in front of me, a motion in limine is a pretrial ruling which can change during the course of the trial. Now, I would not have allowed this testimony in during the state's case in chief if they tried to call this witness to give this testimony. But you're in a position now where you're going to put a witness on the stand and advance a position. If you're going to put a witness on the stand and advance a position, the state has a right to impeach if they have material which would impeach that testimony. If the door gets opened, it would be admissible for impeachment purposes only. And, by the way, Mr. Williams, before you ask this question, you must approach me, and I will tell you whether or not the door has been opened based on what he has said. But this is, it's impeachment, that's what it is. It's a prior sworn statement. If he says something which is impeachable with this statement, it will come in whole or in part. Maybe part of it will come in, maybe all of it will come in. I'm going to hear his testimony. Before it gets put before the jury by any question by Mr. Williams, you will approach the bench and I will make a ruling as to whether I believe that testimony is sufficient to allow impeachment with this statement. So that's how we're going to proceed. I have to make a ruling. I have to continue with this trial. That's my ruling.
We would move for a 2-week continuance to recall all the witnesses to investigate this allegation. And, I mean, the state very well could have And the good faith thing to do would have been said, well, you know, if it gets brought open, you know, in cross-examination, they knew what he was going to testify to.
Well, do you have a copy of that statement? And have you not had a copy of that statement?
Correct, but when I asked them, are you objecting to this not being part of the trial, not coming in, and they say yes. They don't say yes, but subject to impeachment, when they know what Mr. Shihadeh is going to testify to, that's misleading counsel. And if you're going to deny us time to adequately prepare for this, I mean, and this could have been brought up last night. This could have been brought up, and this is brought up 2 minutes before trial. This could have been brought up before Mr. Williams left the state, Tim Williams. I mean, they heard his testimony.
I'm not sure what Mr. Williams would say about it, but in any event.
But they need to investigate a serious allegation.
I've heard your arguments, okay? The motion to continue for 2 weeks is denied. I've told you it will not come in substantively. It may come in for impeachment depending on what this witness says. I will evaluate his testimony and I will decide whether that's sufficient to allow this evidence in. And if I do, I may not allow it all in. It may be a part of the statement. It may not deal with the poisoning. It may. I'm going to listen to what this witness has to say, and like in any other trial, I'm going to decide whether this is true impeachment or not. So let's bring in the jury.
All right, just before you bring him in, I want to just 2 things, Judge. And I just want a clarification on each ground. And I know foundation, waiver, 403, and due process. You're denying it on all grounds?
Yes, I'm saying they have the right to impeach a defense witness with a prior inconsistent statement. If he gives a statement which is inconsistent with what he gave in any sworn statement, whether it's this sworn statement or any others, it can be used for impeachment. That's not a due process violation. In fact, there are cases that even talk about motions in limine, and once a witness is called for impeachment purposes, that does not preclude the use of the evidence for impeachment.
We're saying they waived that, but you've denied that.
Look, I've denied it.
Now, the second issue before you bring the jurors in is we discussed the Larry issue yesterday and about the state proffering that in light of the fact that Your Honor hasn't
That's
made...
in the statement, too.
Correct, and in light of, but Your Honor ruled beforehand that was...
Before I allow that testimony before the jury, and I assume it's going to come out on cross, you're not going to ask.
I might want to
Steal thunder, that's fine.
So I'm going to call him in right now, ask him 2 questions about it, so you can make a determination based on what he says.
Well, they get to ask questions, too. A proffer is a proffer, so...
That's fine, Judge. I think so we can make a determination as to whether...
The only way it would be admissible, I'll just tell you right now, the only way it would be admissible is if she told him that, because that's a statement of a party opponent, if she told him that, it's admissible, or if he was standing there when a conversation occurred. I doubt the latter is the case, but if she told him that she had talked to people in Riviera Beach about killing her husband, that's a statement of a party opponent that comes in. If as you represent, he never heard that, but the problem with that is he said that in that statement. He can be impeached with that statement on that issue, because he said in the statement she told him.
Judge, I would request 3 minutes in light of this poisoning thing coming in to confer with my witness as to what he had. I mean, I don't know what he's going to say about it.
Fine, go ahead.
All right, thanks, Judge.
Your Honor, may I just ask for one clarification?
Sure.
So if Mr. Shihadeh comes in this afternoon and we don't ask him about whether he believes that Dalia Dippolito intended to kill Mike Dippolito, that doesn't open the door, correct?
Well, they can ask the question, isn't it correct that she told you she wanted to kill her husband? I think he's probably going to admit that. I don't think that's going to be a denial. Mr. Williams, I want you to understand my analysis. I am not going to permit this to come in basically to rebut anything else that's happened, including the testimony of that expert. The only way that this can come in, because candidly it's hearsay, it's an out-of-court statement, so the only way that it can come in is for impeachment purposes only. If this witness says something which is inconsistent with that statement, then he can be impeached with it. But if he doesn't say anything inconsistent with that statement, I'm not allowing it in at this late hour to try to rebut their theory of the case. That time has passed. You could have presented in your case in chief. And I'm not going to permit it for that purpose. It has a very limited purpose and scope, and that is solely for the purposes of impeachment. If he denies something which that statement can be used to impeach, it would be admissible for that purpose only. That's my ruling.
I apologize, I'm still a little bit confused, because I thought what you meant was if we opened the door by asking Mr. Shihadeh on direct exam.
It's not a matter of who opens the door.
So just to be clear for the record, you're permitting Mr. Williams, I know he's going to do this, he'll pull up the transcript from a prior hearing, and he'll say, you said this at a prior hearing, right? And then he's going to read in the part. Is that permissible?
If he's allowed to cross-examine the witness.
I know that.
You're going to bring out testimony concerning, just consistent with what you did before. He can explore with this witness as reasonable cross. Didn't Ms. Dippolito tell you that she wanted to kill her husband? Now, if he denies that, then any statement he made contrary to that, including this statement, would be admissible. Where it gets a little gray is when he equivocates. And I'm going to have to hear what he has to say. But they're entitled to ask questions, too, about what it is that this witness heard your client say.
You can open the door to, I mean, obviously, and this is maintaining our position.
Not opening the door, it's impeachment.
No, what I'm saying, Judge, excuse me, is that with your rulings, obviously, based on your ruling, we can open the door to the issue. But I believe the case law is clear that the state cannot open the door.
It's not opening, you're using the wrong legal analysis.
The state can't ask a question to elicit a response to impeach the witness. So they can't backdoor it and say, well, she didn't.
If it's solely for the purposes of, you're talking about the line of cases that say you can't get in a bunch of statements solely for the purposes of impeachment. This issue, if I anticipate this testimony going as it did before, it is going to be reasonable based on your examination. All this pressure and all of this, it's going to be reasonable for the state to get up in cross-examination and say, isn't it true that Ms. Dippolito told you that she wanted to kill her husband? Because you're going to ask a number of questions concerning him being pressured and not wanting to do this, etc. You know, he thought it was domestic violence, all those things. That examination is going to open the door to them, it's be within the scope of the direct, asking about what it is that she told him about killing her husband. Now, if he doesn't deny any of that, then there is a serious question as to whether this is impeachment, because he's admitting that that's what she said. Where it gets a little gray is this statement that either I didn't think I had it in me, because that's what he said last time. I didn't think she had it in me, in her, sorry. And if he makes equivocal statements, then I'm going to have to consider how far it can go for impeachment. It may go part of the way, maybe the entire thing can come in. Maybe it's just, at that point, well, didn't you tell the officers that there was a prior attempt without going into the details of it? There may be some limitation. If he outright denies ever being told by Ms. Dippolito that she wanted to kill her husband, then that clearly is going to impeach that statement. You want a few minutes to speak with Mr. Shihadeh before I bring him in? All right. I'll tell you, I'm going to step off for about 5 minutes. How's that? Maybe seated. People, will you get a chance to speak with your witness?
Yeah, everybody's in the restroom real quick, Your Honor. I think we got about a minute more. We're good to go.
Okay, as soon as Mr. Rosenfeld comes back, we'll call in jury.
Allegation of domestic violence against Dalia Dippolito.
Objection leading judge.
Sustained.
When you initially contacted the Boynton Beach Police Department, why did you call?
Because she told me that she wanted.
Judge, objection hearsay.
Sustained.
May we approach, Judge?
Sure.
I'm going to ask that question again. You can answer. When you initially contacted the Boynton Beach Police Department, why did you call?
I said that there's someone that wants to kill her husband or be dead, either one of them.
All right, and when you say be dead, can you explain that a little bit more?
I guess from what she explained to me, that she was going through domestic and tantrums with him and controlling, and she wanted him dead, or she wanted to be dead, one of them.
Okay, so at some point, in your opinion, did the Boynton Beach Police Department turn this into a murder for hire investigation?
Yes.
All right, and did you want to be involved?
No.
Did you feel pressured into being involved?
Yes.
And did members, and I'm speaking about the general investigation, did members of the Boynton Beach Police Department threaten you with prosecution if you didn't cooperate with this investigation?
Objection leading.
Sustained.
Yes.
Did you feel pressured?
Objection, move to strike, judge.
Okay, just rephrase the question, please.
Did you feel pressured by the
Yes.
Boynton Beach Police Department with prosecution?
Yes.
Did you feel coerced into being involved?
Yes.
All right, I want to talk about your background with Ms. Dippolito. When did you first meet Dalia Dippolito?
I think it was 2002, 2003 maybe,
And how'd you meet her?
at one of my businesses.
And did the two of you become friends?
Yeah.
All right, and between 2001 and 2009, when this happened, did the two of you stay in touch on and off?
Yes.
All right. And at some point during this time, were the two of you intimate?
Yes.
Was it on and off?
Yes.
Did you consider yourself to be close friends with her?
Yes.
All right. Is she somebody you cared about?
Yes.
And just, to clarify, the term Delilah, the name Delilah, is that a nickname you had for her?
Yes.
All right, so Delilah would be Miss Dippolito?
Dalia, yeah.
Okay. And I want to talk for a minute about, this domestic violence, allegation you brought up. When you went to the police department at that time, did you think that Miss Dippolito was the victim of domestic violence at the hands of her husband?
Yes.
Why'd you think that?
We would hang out phone calls constantly. She'd, be worried what to say when she had to be home. I'm just, good at taking facial expressions, and I can see it, sometimes in her.
Did she seem scared?
More nervous than scared, I guess, maybe.
Okay. And without getting into the substance of any conversations, when you were around her, did she receive a lot of phone calls from Mike Dippolito?
Yes.
Okay. Would you consider it to be an aggressive amount of phone calls?
Objection, Judge.
Sustained.
Would you consider it to be,
I mean, if we hung out for 2 hours or 3 hours, maybe 5, 6 calls.
okay. And did she ever talk to you about his steroid use?
Yes.
Okay. Did she ever talk to you about his temper?
Yes.
So as a friend, as somebody, Dalia Dippolito, that you cared about, did you have a legitimate concern for your friend?
Yes.
Were you worried about her?
Yes.
Did she ever mention to you that you would not let her leave the house?
Yes.
Just to be honest with the jury, did Ms. Dippolito ever make any statements to you suggesting that she was not a victim of domestic violence?
At one point, yes.
And did you still believe that she was the victim despite that?
Back in the days, she always tried to impress, so I think it was kind of like embarrassment, so I didn't know what to believe.
Okay, so you think that she might have been embarrassed and wanted to hide it from you? That
Yeah.
she was being abused?
Probably.
Okay. So despite her making a comment, I just want to make sure I'm understanding this, at one point that she wasn't...
Judge, I'm objecting. This is all speculation.
I haven't got the question out yet. Let me hear the
I was
question.
clarifying what you just asked. I'm just speculation.
Approach. Approach.
Definition of speculation. I'm sorry about that, Mr. Shihadeh. I want to take a step back. You said you still believe she was a victim of domestic violence. So despite any statement she might have made to the contrary, did you still have a legitimate concern for your friend?
Yes.
All right. So on July 31st, 2009, when this incident started, I want to draw your attention to that date.
Okay.
Did you contact the Boynton Beach Police Department because you were concerned about Dalia Dippolito being a victim of domestic violence?
Objection, leading.
Sustained.
On July 31st, 2009, that was a Friday, why did you contact the Boynton Beach Police Department?
Because I was worried that something was going to happen. Either she was going to get killed or he was going to get killed.
All right, so you didn't go there to report a crime by Ms. Dippolito?
No, my point of going there was for them to give her a call and try to help her. That was my main goal.
Did you think she was going to get arrested when you called?
No.
Judge, can we approach for that?
Yes. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take about a 5-minute break. Okay, we'll take 5 minutes, and yes, you may use the restroom.
Cries, and I think it's not fair that when a defending cries, it's,
Mr. Rosenfeld, that is totally discretionary with me. I mean, I'm going to judge the situation. If it's becoming a distraction, it was, then I'm going to take a break. If it's not a distraction, I won't. It's completely discretionary with the court.
I'm not saying it's not, I can still object. I mean, I know you have the discretion, but I'm entitled to make an objection to it.
The objection is noted. Coming this way, you're fine. You just can't go too far that way. All right, counsel, be seated. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Ms. Rosenfeld, anytime you're ready.
Sure. I just want to just take a step back to get where we were to put things in context for the jurors. So you said you told Boynton Beach Police Department, I know a woman's that's being hurt by her husband. She needs help, and she feels like her only solution is for her to be dead or for him to be killed.
Objection leading.
I'm putting it in context where we were. Judge.
Overrule as to that question.
All right. And then the last question I asked you
Objection, Judge. It's not asking questions.
Ask a question, Mr. Rosenfeld.
was your intention when you first contacted Boynton Beach to get Ms. Dippolito help?
Yes.
And did you tell the officers at Boynton Beach that you wanted them to help her?
Yes.
Did you ask them to call her?
Yes.
Why did you ask them to call her?
To see how they could help?
And did you give them Dalia's phone number at some point?
Yes.
Did they call her?
I don't think so. I don't know.
But you said you gave them their phone number. Could they have called her?
Objection, speculation.
If somebody has a phone number.
Overruled.
I mean, I don't know if they called her. I don't think they called her.
Okay, now my question was, you gave them her phone number.
Right.
Could they have called her?
Yeah, they could have called her.
And did you believe when you first contacted Boynton Beach Police Department that Dalia Dippolito was going to be arrested?
No.
Objection leading, Judge.
Sustained.
Did anyone, without getting into context of conversation, from Boynton Beach Police Department tell you that you needed to come into the police station?
Yes.
Did you want to come in?
No.
Did you tell them that you didn't want to go into the station?
Yes.
Did you want to get involved?
No.
Did you tell Boynton Beach that you didn't want to get involved?
Yes.
And just to be clear, if you didn't want to go in, did you just want them to check on Miss Dippolito to see if she was all right?
Objection leading, Judge.
Sustained.
Yes.
Move to strike, Judge.
Disregard the last answer. Rephrase the question.
What was your intention? If you didn't want to go in, what was your intention when you went in?
To stop something from getting more serious.
Okay. And you were worried about her?
Yeah, I was worried about the whole situation.
Okay. Did you go into Boynton Beach that same night you called, July 31st, 2009?
Yeah, because he told me to come in right away.
Did they tell you pardon me, did he tell you that you had to come in immediately?
Objection, hearsay, Judge, and leading.
Effect on the listener.
Overruled.
Yes.
And did they tell you if something happens, then it's going to fall on you?
Objection, Judge, leading.
Sustained.
What did they tell you?
They said if something happens, knowing that you have the information and we don't, if something happens to either one of them, it's going to fall on you.
And did this happen within minutes of contacting them?
I don't remember, maybe an hour, maybe a few hours.
And as I understand it, did you communicate with them, and them being the Boynton Beach Police Department officers, that she had been the victim of domestic violence?
Yeah, I mean, I told them exactly what she told me. She said that, she wants him dead or she wants to be dead.
Which was alarming to you?
Yes.
You were concerned for Ms. Dippolito?
Yes.
Objection, leading, Judge.
Sustained.
Did the officer at Boynton Beach Police Department indicate that he wanted to contact Ms. Dippolito to verify whether or not she had been the victim of domestic abuse?
Objection, leading, Judge.
Sustained.
No.
Move to
Was
strike,
any-
Judge.
Strike the answer. You need to wait when I rule on an objection. If I sustain the objection, do not answer the question.
Oh, okay.
If I overrule the objection, go ahead and answer the question.
Was any information provided to you as to whether an officer wanted to contact Ms. Dippolito to verify whether she was a domestic abuse victim?
Say that again, I'm sorry.
Was any information provided to you about whether an officer wanted to contact Ms. Dippolito to see if she was a domestic abuse victim?
Objection, calls for hearsay, Judge.
Effect on the listener.
Approach.
One moment, Your Honor.
Yes.
When you first called the Boynton Beach Police Department, did you really believe that Ms. Dippolito was going to kill her husband?
No.
Say that again, I couldn't hear you.
No.
When you first called the Boynton Beach Police Department, did you think if they would have just called her and talked to her, there would have been no need for this?
Probably yes.
You said she also told you that she felt like being dead, right?
Yes.
Judge, I'm not objecting. That's hearsay and move to strike.
Not contemporaneous, Judge.
The objection sustained.
Move to strike, please.
Disregard the answer.
All right, so when you went to Boynton Beach, got thrown off here a little bit, you did not think Ms. Dippolito actually wanted to kill her husband?
Objection, asked and answered.
Sustained.
Did you eventually go to the police station?
Yes.
All right. And when you got to the police station, did anybody take your keys?
Yes.
Why?
Objection, speculation. Hearsay.
Sustained.
Do you have any personal knowledge as to why someone took your keys at the department?
When I was told that,
Objection. Calls for hearsay. Objection.
Sustained.
Okay. When someone took your keys, later that evening, was your car in the same place that it was when you got there?
no,
And did you move your car from point A to point B?
no,
And had Boynton Beach Police Department interviewed you before taking your keys?
no, they took my keys and interviewed me.
And I think you said they said it was going to fall on you, right?
Objection. Judge asked and answered and.
Sustained.
At this point, when you arrived at the department, did you feel pressured? Did they pressure you into going forward with this investigation?
Objection leading.
Overruled as to that question.
Yeah,
Did the Boynton Beach Police Department threaten you with prosecution unless you cooperated in this investigation?
Objection asked and answered.
They threatened and
Approach.
Earlier you testified that they threatened you with prosecution if you didn't cooperate in this investigation. How?
that if something happened, it would fall on you and we'll prosecute you.
Okay. And we'll get back to the pressuring in a little while. I want to shift gears for a minute and talk about, a little bit more about what happened when you got to the Boynton Beach Police Department that Friday, July 31st. When you first got there, did you speak with detectives?
Yes.
And was one of them Detective Brown? Do you remember?
I don't remember names, it was a while ago.
Okay. But just to clarify, in a previous deposition, you referred to him as Detective Moreno, right?
I don't remember, really don't. I think so, maybe.
But,
Judge, I would move this strike. That's speculation.
shit, I don't know. Well, the state doesn't know.
You just said he didn't know, so proceed.
All right. But just to be clear, the lead detective who you worked with throughout the investigation, that was Detective Moreno, right?
Objection leading, Judge.
Sustained.
Was the lead detective you worked with throughout the investigation Detective Moreno?
I think it was Marino and Ramsey, maybe.
Okay.
I don't know which one was the lead detective, though.
Okay. But that night when you first got there,
Uh-huh.
it wasn't Moreno, was it somebody else?
Like I said, I can't put names with the faces right now.
Okay, that's fine. In your opinion, based on your observations, did this detective seem to care about the domestic abuse involving Ms. Dippolito?
Objection, Judge. Improper opinion.
Overruled.
No.
And during this first interview you had, how long would you say it lasted?
Maybe an hour, maybe two.
And during this first interview, at any point, did the detective turn on a recording?
Yes.
All right, how long into the interview did it get turned on?
I think after I told him, then he asked me to do it again.
All right, was there a second interview?
Yes.
All right, 1 second, Judge. All right, do you remember testifying, I'm going to go back to the first interview, in a previous deposition, that the first interview was not interviewed, was not recorded?
Yes.
Okay. And would that be the truth, that the first one wasn't recorded?
Pretty sure, yes.
Okay. I just want to clarify that. So the first interview wasn't recorded. Was there a second interview?
Yeah, like when I first walked in, they interviewed me, and then they made me sit in the police station for like maybe an hour, and then some other people came and went in a room, and then they pushed a recorder.
All right. And do you know if one of those people, and if you don't know, that's fine, was a Sergeant Paul Sheridan? Bigger guy?
I think so. What was it, Paul Sheridan?
Yeah.
I think so.
All right. And do you recall the officers laughing at you while recording you?
Yes.
And do you remember why they were laughing?
Because I did it, someone that I've known for a while, didn't know her last name, didn't know where she lived.
And
They thought I was making it up, I don't know.
they didn't believe you?
No.
Why didn't you know her last name?
Because I didn't know she got married. I knew her old last name.
Okay. So you didn't know her married name?
No, I didn't know her new married name.
And you said they were laughing at you. Did they have to restart the recording because they were laughing about the whole situation?
Yeah.
So is there part of that interview that is not on the recording?
I don't know.
But they restarted it.
I think so, yeah, they restarted it.
How did you feel when they were laughing at you about a domestic violence claim?
I guess someone coming like out of the blue saying that to him sounds, it's a make-up story. The fact that I didn't know her last name, the fact that I didn't know anything else, I don't know. I don't know what was funny to him about it. I don't know.
Let me rephrase that question. You said you went in there. You reported a domestic violence claim.
Judge just asked an answer.
No, I'm saying that probably goes to the question.
Approach.
All right, so you went in the department with a legitimate concern about a crime, without getting into it. You said they recorded you on the second interview and they started laughing.
I'm not objecting to this. He's repeating all the stuff that just testified to.
How did you feel when they were laughing at you?
Pissed off, I guess.
Okay. Did the detective tell you that you needed to sign a confidential informant packet in order for your identity to remain confidential?
Objection leading.
Sustained.
What did the detective tell you about the confidential informant packet?
This is just for the police use, and this will never be released to the media or to anybody.
Okay. Did he tell you you needed to sign it?
Yes.
So when you saw the word confidential, What did you think that meant?
What the dictionary states, confidential. I mean, it's confidential. It's not going to leave the room.
Anonymous?
Yeah.
Did anyone tell you that the purpose of signing the CI packet was to remain anonymous?
Yes.
And well, that was a lie, right?
Objection.
Sustained.
How long did you spend reading the CI packet? And let me just take a step back.
Right.
By CI packet, I mean the confidential informant packet. We'll refer to it as that. How long did you spend reading the CI packet?
I don't know, maybe a minute or two.
How long?
Maybe a minute or two.
Okay. Did the detective go through the document with you page by page?
Not that I recall.
Did he read it to you?
No.
Did he ask if you understood it?
No.
All right. And at some point, did the detectives allow you to call your attorney?
Yes. But I couldn't get a hold of him. He was out of town until the next day.
All right. But at some point, did you talk to him about the CI agreement?
Yes.
And was it a lengthy or quick conversation?
It was pretty quick. He was in a murder trial.
Did he have a copy of the agreement in front of him?
No. He was out of town.
Did you read the agreement together?
No.
Did he explain the agreement to you?
Well, no, he said I need to see it in front of me, but from his experience in law, that the only time your name will be released is if a crime was committed.
Okay, so and after that call, did the detectives bother explaining this packet to you?
No, I already had left the police station.
Okay. And is it fair to say you were incredibly confused by this packet?
Objection leading, Judge.
Sustained.
Were you confused by this packet?
Objection leading, Judge.
Sustained.
Did you understand the packet?
I understood the confidential part, but I didn't read the end of it. There's some pages I don't even remember in there that were there.
All right. If I may approach the clerk, Judge. Your Honor.
Yes, you may approach. I'm sorry.
Thank you. Your Honor, may I approach the witness? Your Honor.
Yes.
Now showing you State's Exhibit 32, confidential informant packet. You recognize that?
Yes.
All right, please flip to the last two pages. That'd be pages 5 and 6, is that correct? Or, pardon me, please flip to pages 5 and 6.
I have it.
All right. And prior to a deposition in 2011, did you ever read these pages?
I don't remember, honestly. It's been 9 years.
Okay. One moment, Your Honor.
See, I know page 6 definitely was not here.
You said page 6 was not there?
It was not there. But I would have seen the word media, and I would have seen the release right away. I usually read the subtitles, and I know what follows behind it.
And what's that page pertaining to?
There's, I don't know, page 6, the last, where it says number 1 and 2, the last two sentences that the Boynton Beach Police Department is authorized to stimulate an arrest of the undersigned release, his or her name, or the news media in connection with the arrest, and to take other steps necessary to protect the undersigned as a confidential source. That the undersigned release the city of Boynton Beach, its agents, officers, and employees from all claims or liability arising from the acts unauthorized by paragraph 1. Above agrees the city shall not be liable on this on the image of this. See, this wasn't there. I know for a fact that wasn't there.
Okay. And you mentioned you don't remember one question that I asked you regarding to all the pages and a deposition in 2011. If I showed you a portion of that deposition, would that refresh your recollection as to what you said about reading that last page with Ms. Parker at the deposition?
Yes.
Your Honor, may I approach the witness?
Yes.
Can we approach it?
Yes.
I'm now showing you a portion of a prior hearing. Please take a look at this. Look up and let me know if that refreshes your recollection.
Yes.
Okay. I asked you that question again now that your recollection's refreshed. Did you say I didn't read the last page till the end until Miss Parker showed it to me?
It's improper refreshment.
Approach.
Based on your refreshed recollection, what did you say?
Well,
Is
again,
that objecting and reading?
He's not reading it.
Reading it.
again to page, the last page on this one is page 6, I think,
Yes.
and that page was not there. Again, I'm rephrasing, that's why I did not read it.
Okay. Your Honor,
At least at page 6, sentence 1 and sentence 2 were not there. That just appeared on top of my signature out of nowhere.
Okay. May I have first witness, Your Honor?
Yes.
All right. So that night, Friday, July 31st, at the police department, did the detectives have you conduct a recorded phone call?
Objection leading.
Overruled, that's that question.
Did they what? I'm
Have
sorry.
you conduct a recorded phone call?
I don't remember if it was, I think they told me to give her a call. I'm not, exactly sure.
Did you want to?
No.
Did they tell you you had to?
Yes.
And did you think this is your only involvement in the case?
Yes.
And during your calls with Ms. Dippolito, were detectives telling you what to say to her?
Yes.
All right, let's move on to the next day, Saturday, August 1st, 2009. Did a Detective Alex Moreno contact you?
Yes.
And did he force you to respond to the station?
Forced me to come to the station.
Okay. And did you tell him you didn't want to?
Yes.
And was this the first time you met the lead detective, Alex Moreno?
I think so.
When you got there, did you go inside?
Yes.
And where was your car?
I parked it, but then they asked for my keys.
All right, so when you first met Officer Moreno, before speaking with him, you said you gave someone your keys?
Yeah, I parked and then I walked in to the front, and then another officer came and said, "I need your keys."
Did he say why?
Well, he said,
Objection
uh,
hearsay.
So why give the keys? Back to the listen.
Same.
Where were you when he took your keys?
in front of the police station.
All right, and prior to them taking your keys, did you tell the detective that you did not want to be recorded?
I mean, other than the recording in the police station, I didn't want to be recorded. I told them I didn't want nothing to do with anything.
Did you know the release you signed allowed them to record you?
No.
Did you have any idea that there was a video camera in your car?
No.
How did you find out that you were videotaped?
Next day on YouTube.
So just to be clear, they put a video camera in your car without your consent or knowledge?
Correct.
And did you want to be on YouTube?
No.
And didn't Boynton Beach tell you you're going to remain anonymous?
Yes.
Feel betrayed?
Yes.
All right, and once again, I want to take a step back for a minute to what went on at the police department on Saturday, August 1st. You said you got to the department and spoke with Detective Moreno.
Objection leading.
Just getting into the next topic.
Overrule is that question.
Did he have you make recorded phone calls to Ms. Dippolito?
Objection leading.
Overruled is that question.
Yes.
Did you feel pressured into making these calls?
Yes.
Did you again tell him you did not want to be involved?
Yes.
At that point, when speaking with Officer Marino about those phone calls in September, I'm referring to September 1st, Did he threaten you with prosecution if you didn't cooperate?
Objection leading.
Sustained.
At that point, what did he say to you when you told him you didn't want to be involved?
He said, until we can stop and figure out what's going on, you need to make these calls or it's going to fall on you.
Okay. And did he elaborate on what falling on you meant?
No.
At any point did he discuss you being prosecuted again?
He said that I could be prosecuted for lying, and I could be prosecuted for if something happens. So it's like it's either he didn't believe me or he wanted to believe something else.
And did he tell you what to say on these calls?
Yes.
And can you give me an estimate of about how many times you called Ms. Dippolito when you were physically in the police department in the presence of officers?
I don't know, maybe 5, 6, 7 times. I don't know.
Okay. Do you remember in a previous deposition saying 10?
Probably.
And were all of those phone calls recorded?
From my knowledge, yes.
And prior to the meeting at Mobile Gas Station, did Detective Moreno tell you that this had to be done within 72 hours?
Yes.
And did you feel a sense of urgency?
Yes.
All right, I want to move on to, let's shift gears for a minute. Still September 1st, or pardon me, August 1st. The meeting at the Mobile Gas Station. Immediately before the meeting, did you again tell Detective Moreno that you did not want to be involved?
Objection
Yeah.
leading.
Sustained.
Immediately before the meeting, what did you tell Detective Moreno?
That I don't want to do this, I don't want to be involved.
Did he tell you that you didn't have a choice?
Objection leading.
Sustained.
What did he tell you?
He said, then you're going to possibly face prosecution.
All right. So did you want to go and meet with Ms. Dippolito at the Mobile Gas Station?
No.
So at the time you met with Dalia Dippolito at the Mobile Gas Station, did you feel pressured to cooperate in this investigation?
Yes.
And you testified earlier that you had no idea there was a video camera in your car, correct?
Correct.
All right. Did anyone from the department force you to have an unrecorded listening device in your car for safety?
Yes.
So you were aware of an unrecorded listening device, but not a video camera in your car?
Correct.
So you didn't know there was a recording device?
No.
And you had told them repeatedly you did not want to be recorded?
Yes.
And during this meeting, did the detectives tell you what to say?
Yes.
Did they tell you to tell Ms. Dippolito about a specific dollar amount?
I think so.
And did they search your person or pockets before the meeting?
No.
Did they search your wallet?
No.
So they didn't know if you had money on you, did they?
No.
All right. So we talked earlier, and I want to shift gears for a minute, about the pressure you received from Detective Alex Moreno, and I want to get back to that. After the meeting at the Mobile Gas Station, did you continue to tell Detective Moreno that you did not want to be involved?
Yes.
And did he continue to threaten you with prosecution if you did not cooperate?
Yes.
Are you 100% sure?
100%.
So throughout this process, dating back to 2009, have you been consistently concerned that the state will prosecute you based on these threats?
Yes.
And what type of things did Detective Moreno do to you to pressure you?
calling me all times of the day, night. Call her. Call me if she calls you, just 24/7.
Okay, you said all times of the night. Did he call you in the middle of the night?
Yes,
And did he call you from different numbers?
yes,
And do you remember these numbers? And during these phone calls, did you feel pressured to cooperate?
yes,
At any point, did he call you 10 times in a day?
yes,
And you said in the middle of the night. All right, at any time, and actually let me take a step back before I get into this question. You said you told me you didn't want to be involved. At any time, did anyone in the Boynton Beach Police Department give you an opportunity to stop being involved in this investigation?
no,
Is that right, Coach?
Yes?
One second. May I approach again?
Yes.
I'm sorry about that, Mr. Shihadeh. All right, so the last question I had asked you, Your Honor, do you mind if I just get back to that question for context?
Backup one.
Yeah, just one. At any time, did anyone in the Boynton Beach Police Department give you an opportunity to stop being involved in this investigation?
no,
Now, in light of this continued pressure and threats from Detective Moreno you testified to, do you think you might have exerted some pressure on Ms. Dippolito?
I mean, yes, because I would call her and tell her what money to bring, where to meet me, because they tell me to do it. And at times she couldn't, and I would say, you have to do it now, you have to do it now, because they told me that they needed it done at this time.
All right. And in view of the pressure that you had from the detectives, did you feel like it was your job to make sure Ms. Dippolito went along with Boynton Beach's plan, or you would get in trouble?
Correct.
All right. Your Honor, one moment. Your Honor, may I approach the clerk?
Yes.
Thank you, Judge. Mr. Shihadeh, I'm now showing you, once again, State's Exhibit 32, the confidential informant packet. And I want to draw your attention to page 4, bullet point 15. Can you please read that to the jury?
I agree to cooperate with the Boynton Beach Police Department of my own free will, not as a result of any intimidation or threats.
That didn't happen here, right?
No.
You were threatened and intimidated, correct?
Objection, Judge Lee.
Sustained.
Do you think you were threatened and intimidated?
Yes.
Sustained.
Based on reading that policy, do you think it was violated?
Objection.
Sustained.
Did anyone from the Boynton Beach Police Department ever tell you that the Cops television show was filmed?
No.
Would you have allowed that? Had you known that?
No.
Aaron, may I approach the witness and retrieve the exhibit?
Yes.
Thank you. And I want to, once again, shift gears, and I want to talk about the instructions you received from Detective Moreno and Sergeant Sheridan during this investigation. Did they ever tell you not to call Ms. Dippolito when you were not with them?
Objection, hearsay.
Goes to the effect of the listener.
Overruled.
Oh. Yes.
They did tell you that.
Yes.
Did they ever give you an audio recording device to use in the event that you spoke to her when they were not around?
I don't remember, honestly. I don't think so. I don't know.
Okay. Do you remember previously testifying that they did not tell you to call Ms. Dippolito when you were not with them?
I don't remember.
Okay.
They told me not to call her
Okay.
unless they were around, and to answer the phone when she does call and let them know.
All right, did they ever give you a little recording device, a digital recording device, to record?
Yes, I think so. I think there was at some point, not during the whole time. I think it was for a day or two.
All right, so there were times during this investigation that you did not have a recording device?
Yes.
And had you made calls to her without the recording device?
I can't recall, maybe.
Do you recall previously testifying that they never gave you an audio recording device to use in the event that they weren't around?
I don't remember.
Okay. And do you recall previously testifying that you did call Ms. Dippolito several times during the course of the investigation when no one was around?
Yes.
Okay. So is it fair to say that you did call her several times when no one was around?
Yes.
And that, is it fair to say that those calls were not recorded?
Well, come find out later. I didn't know, but my phone.
Speculation.
Do you have some personal knowledge?
But, approach.
All right, so just to be clear, some calls were not recorded, right?
Yes.
All right, let's skip forward to Monday, August 3rd, 2009. How'd you first come to learn, and I'm referring to the Chili's meeting, how'd you first come to learn you were going to meet Ms. Dippolito at Chili's?
Because they told me I was.
All right. Did you call them or did they call you?
They called me.
And where were you when they called?
I don't know, I think I was at work or home, maybe. I think I was at work,
All right, did you feel pressured to leave work and respond to Boynton Beach?
yes,
Did you feel like you had a choice?
no,
All right, and prior to the Chili's meeting, and by that I mean prior to going inside, were you wired?
yes,
Do you remember who wired you?
no.
And what did they do to wire you?
Just took off my shirt, I think, and put a wire.
All right, are you 100% sure that on August 9th, 2009, the Boynton Beach Police Department wired you before you went into Chili's to meet with Dalia Dippolito?
Objection, asked and answered.
Overruled is the question.
100%.
And how do you know?
See, I was wearing it.
At any point did anyone at Boynton Beach tell you the wire malfunctioned?
No,
So did you believe that when you were inside the Chili's restaurant that your conversation with Ms. Dippolito was being recorded?
yes,
Why?
because they said they were.
Okay. And how'd you know that the Boynton Beach Police Department knew what you had talked about with Ms. Dippolito?
Because they, when I came out, they knew what I talked about. They listened to it.
Were they laughing about your conversation with her?
Yeah, at a comment.
All right, what did they say? What did the members of the Boynton Beach Police Department say?
She ordered two lunches to go or 2 dinners to go. And they said something about like his last supper or like what did she feeding him his last supper or I don't know. Something like that. I don't remember in detail.
So you were in Chili's with a wire. You come out of Chili's. You meet with the officers. Let me clarify this.
Judge, this is asked and answered.
Sustained, ask a question.
Did you find it kind of odd that you were in there for an alleged solicitation and the officers were laughing about it at the station
That's on the
afterward?
relevance, Judge.
Sustained.
So someone from the Boynton Beach Police Department commented on what you had ordered at Chili's after you left Chili's.
Objection, asked and answered.
Sustained.
And there wasn't anyone from Boynton Beach within 5 feet of you and Miss Dippolito when you ate, was there?
No.
All right. Isn't it true that the only way the Boynton Beach police officer that told you that could have learned that was through a wire?
Objection, leading in speculation, Judge.
Sustained.
When you left the Chili's restaurant, what happened to the wire? Did they take it off you? Where?
I think back at the police station. I'm not sure. Maybe in the parking lot. I don't know.
And when they removed the wire, did anyone tell you the wire was not working?
No.
And the meeting with Miss Dippolito at Chili's, she has around 45 minutes?
Objection, leading.
How long was the meeting?
I don't remember. Maybe an hour, maybe 45 minutes.
Okay, so between 45 minutes and an hour?
Yeah.
All right. And I've just a couple really quick questions about what happened at Chili's. Do you think that Miss Dippolito, based on your observations, was slightly hesitant inside the restaurant?
Objection, speculation.
Based on his observations, Judge.
Overruled.
I mean, she seemed a little bit off. I don't, not herself. I don't know.
And were you still, at that point, while in Chili's, and referring to that point, were you still afraid of police retaliation if you didn't complete the task?
Yes.
All right, you stated earlier that over the past 8 years, making sure I can do my math. Yeah, over the past 8 years, throughout this process, you've been concerned because of police pressure, right?
Yes.
On August 10th, 2009, did you return to Boynton Beach Police Department and give a recorded statement?
I don't remember the date, but I did. I don't know what day it was.
Was it around August 10th?
I think so.
All right. Did you do that voluntarily or did you feel pressured?
No, they said they needed my statement. They said I need to come in.
Did you feel pressured?
Yes.
And have you also testified in numerous depositions and hearings since this happened?
Yes.
Has that caused you to be hesitant at times?
Yes.
And because of this pressure, have you ever played into the police's narrative and said what the police wanted to hear?
Most of the time, yes.
But you're here today telling the truth. Why?
Yes.
We'll get back to that question later. One second, Your Honor. Can we have a 5-minute recess?
Yes, we'll take a 5-minute break, ladies and gentlemen. We'll send you into the jury room for just a couple of minutes. All right, we're going to recess for 5 minutes. Shot, if you need to go to the restroom, you can. Just don't discuss your testimony with anyone.
Okay.
You need to see that one's still out, but they... Rosenfeld.
Just one more minute. Couple more minutes, Judge.
Ask them.
No, they're going to be. If it were, yeah. I don't know if there's any vendors in the itself. Like a Dunkin' Donuts.
Rental market, they're asking enough for it. What if we don't got that locked in place? For like an efficiency, what was it, $2,500 to do something she's done?
He's my witness.
For an efficiency, right?
I don't know, I left the bench, I don't know where he went.
No, I thought it was an efficiency to do something shot. Studio.
Other than that, I'm not on the position over, so I have no idea.
More concerned about my witness. No. Ready to proceed? We're turning this 5-minute break into a 15-minute break.
I'm sorry, Judge.
I got in the elevator and every button was pushed.
I'm not looking forward to it. Cheers.
All right, bathroom breaks, you good?
Bring in the jury. right, counsel, be seated. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen.
All right, I'm sorry about that, Mr. Shihadeh. All right, you testified, I don't know, 20 minutes ago, that detectives did give you an audio recording device to record phone calls. Do you remember giving a testimony at a hearing back in December of 2016?
Not in detail. I mean, if you can refresh my memory.
Sure. You want to take a look at what a copy of the hearing transcript was? And for counsel and clerk, I'm referring to page 24, line 4.
Yeah, well, I'm...
All right, so I'm going to ask you a question on that. Having read that, is your memory refreshed?
Yes.
All right, so when you left the Boynton Beach Police Department, did anyone give you an audio recording device to have you record phone calls with Dalia Dippolito?
Objection, asked and answered.
Sustained.
All right, you previously testified earlier today that no one gave you a recording device from the Boynton Beach Police Department. Now, do you remember giving testimony on December 8, 2016? Yes or no?
Yes.
Okay.
Judge, I would object to asked and answered in a proper appeal.
Well, hold on, approach.
All right, so at that hearing, you were asked, so before you left Boynton Beach Police Department on July 31st, 2009, did anybody from Boynton Beach Police Department give you any sort of audio recording device to help record your phone calls with Dalia Dippolito? Answer, no. Is that correct?
Yes.
So after reading that, did you have an audio recording device to return these phone calls?
No, because I found out later that all the phone calls were recorded anyways.
Sustained.
I move to strike his answer.
Disregard his response.
Okay, so why, then, did you give a different response today?
Because I remember listening to the phone calls.
Not so far, go ahead.
Let me rephrase the question. At any point, do you think your phone was tapped?
I didn't know at that time, but I knew after that it was tapped because
Yes. Disregard the last statement concerning tapping of the phone.
All right, and just to clarify though, based on reading this and refreshing your recollection, you were not given a recording device, correct?
Objection, asked and answered.
Sustained.
All right. Moving on, I previously asked you how many phone calls you made while you were physically in the police department in the presence of police officers today. And you testified, you think 4. All right. Once again, do you remember giving testimony in a hearing in December of 2016? Just general
I mean,
testimony?
I remember giving a testimony, I don't remember exactly what I was said.
Okay. Well, I'm going to show you a copy. May I approach the witness?
Yes.
I'd like you to take a look, and for the clerk and counsel, I'm referring to page 24, line 20 through 25, line 7. You can just start here and read down to here. Oh, I know you're done. Let's try it. You're done. Same page I showed you. Okay. He's done. Okay. Before asking any questions. Oh, no, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Is it ready to approach? Finish approaching yet?
You may approach.
All right, so earlier today you testified that there were 4 phone calls made at the Boynton Beach Police Department. Do you remember on December of 2016 at a hearing being asked, and can you give me an estimate of about how many times you made phone calls to Ms. Dippolito while you were physically in the police department in the presence of a police officer? Answer, a lot. I can't even give you a number. Question, it's really important. Can you try to more than 10? Answer, maybe 10, 20, 30, I don't remember. Question, 10, 20, or 30 phone calls. Well, we only have the audio tapes.
Object at this point.
Okay, I'll skip that part, Judge. You also testified today that you weren't sure about those calls being recorded.
Objection, asked and answered.
Now, I asked if he made them, not whether they were recorded. This is a separate question, Judge.
Overruled for the moment.
Okay. And you had a chance to review this portion of the transcript as well, correct? All right. Question. When you made those 10, 20 to 30 phone calls to the Boynton Beach Police Department in the presence of Boynton Beach police officers, those phone calls are recorded, right? Answer, yes. Do you remember giving that testimony?
Yes,
And is that accurate?
yes.
Okay. All right. Let's just wrap things up. I know you've been up there for a while, probably getting tired. So you called Boynton Beach to report a domestic violence crime.
Objection, asked and answered.
Sustained.
You were concerned about your friend.
Objection, asked and
Sustained.
answered.
throughout the investigation, did you feel pressured and harassed by the detectives?
Approach, Mr. Rosenfeld.
All right, so I want to skip forward toward the end of the end of your role in the investigation. At that point, after Chili's, did you still feel pressured and harassed by detectives?
I think the investigation maybe went on for one more day where I was told to tell her to meet at the CVS.
Okay, I'm saying after that.
After the whole YouTube thing, or?
Correct. You had mentioned that you went back to, you did not want to go back and give a recorded statement about a week. You weren't sure regarding this case after Ms. Dippolito's arrest, and you felt pressured and harassed. I'm just refreshing.
I'll overrule to that question.
You testified to that earlier?
Yes.
I hope he's getting to a question here. Go ahead.
I'll move past this. It's not a questioning, Judge. So on July 31st, 2009, all right, when you first went to the Boynton Beach Police Department, did you think a domestic abuse call would turn into a murder-for-hire television show?
Objection.
Sustained.
Asked and answered. Relevance. I move to strike this question.
Well, I'm not going to strike the question. There's no answer to that.
All right, I'll rephrase. On July 31st, 2009, had Boynton Beach Police Department called Dalia Dippolito to follow up on your domestic abuse call, would we be here today?
Objection.
Sustained.
No further questions, Judge.
Cross-examination.
Hey.
We've met before? Yeah.
Yes.
All right, let's start, just so the jury understands, let's start with your memory today about what happened back in 2009. In your own words, would you say that your memory is not too good about what happened back in 2009?
Yes.
In fact, I asked you, I said, it's pretty bad, right? And you said, yeah.
Objection, proper impeachment, Judge.
Overruled.
Is that true?
Yes.
Okay. So you don't have a good memory about what happened back in 2009?
I mean, I have somewhat, but not in detail. We're talking about 8 years ago, 9 years ago.
All right, well, you testified to this jury just a few minutes ago that you felt pressured to play into the police's narrative and follow along with their story, right? All right, so who went to Boynton Beach Police Department with a concern?
I did.
So what was Boynton Beach's narrative on July 31st of 2009 when you went in there and met with them and told them what was going on? What was their narrative?
They laughed at me. They didn't believe me.
So what was their narrative? Their narrative is that this plot, that they're going to arrest her and put her on Cops TV. That was the narrative on July 31st of 2009 when you met with them, right?
No, I don't know. I didn't know about no narrative.
Well, you just said that you played into their narrative and followed along. What was the narrative?
The narrative of me calling her.
Overruled.
What was the narrative?
Like, narrative of call her at this time, tell her this, tell her this, tell her that. Not anything about a show or anything else.
And was everything that they were asking you to do based on information that you actually provided to them?
Objection, here's it.
Overruled.
Yes?
Yes, right? So you provided all this information and they were just following up on what you gave them.
Yes?
They didn't make this up, did they?
No.
You didn't make this up, did you?
No.
When you went in and you met with them on July 31st of 2009, did you swear that everything you told them was truthful?
Yes?
And it was truthful what you told them on July 31st of 2009, wasn't it?
Yes?
Everything you told them there that day.
Yes?
You didn't lie about anything.
No.
You had no reason to lie about anything she told you, did you?
No.
Judge, can we approach real quick, please?
Yes.
Shihadeh, when's the last time you communicated with the defendant at all?
Maybe Chili's, or that day, that's it.
You haven't communicated with her since then?
No.
All right. On July 31st of 2009, when you gave that statement to the police, did they tell you what to say in that statement?
No.
Those were all your words, right?
Yes?
Those were all things that were truthful, what you said. Right?
Yes?
They didn't put any words in your mouth, anything to say on that day statement.
Yes?
When they asked you if you were scared for Dalia Dippolito's husband, do you remember what you told them?
Not exactly, no.
Well, would you have told them, yes, I...
Objection, improper impeachment, improper refreshing his recollection. Innocent remembrance.
Overruled.
I very much am, because she's in a very tight situation where she has to somehow show she's pregnant, so somehow that money is coming back and a whole bunch of things.
Objection, Judge, we approach.
Mr. Shihadeh, other than saying that you were scared for her husband, isn't it true that you never told the police on July 31st, 2009 that you were scared for her?
I actually did tell the police I was scared of her for her talking to Larry.
Okay, you weren't scared of her. You never told the police that you were scared for her because her husband was committing domestic violence on her, did you?
No.
You told them that you were worried about Larry because she was going to Larry to talk to Larry about the
Objection, Judge, we approach.
Yes.
Were you present with the defendant at a clothing store that belonged to your cousin?
Objection, Judge, we approach. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I have to ask you to step out for just one moment.
Okay, you may be seated. Go ahead. Ask the predicate questions.
Mr. Shihadeh, did Ms. Dippolito purchase you a Land Rover back in March 2009?
Yes,
You had that vehicle for about 2 weeks?
yes.
And while you had that vehicle, did you meet with her at a relative's clothing store, Urban Wear, where she discussed with you potentially getting money for the 2 weeks to help get back on your feet?
I don't remember exact discussion, but I think so.
Well, do you know if she asked you if you knew someone who killed her husband?
Yes, and
And did you guys get loud about it? Did you yell at her? Not speak like that.
I yelled at Larry and some other guys that were in front of the store that kind of shoved her in the car to talk to her. And I told her to get out of the car.
All right, but listen to my question. First, she asks you if you knew somebody that could help kill her husband. Is that correct?
Okay.
Is that true? Yes. Was that said loud enough to where other people could hear it?
No personal knowledge, speculation.
I don't remember.
You can answer if you can, it's just a
Did
proffer.
people respond to it?
They didn't respond to the question. They just responded to everyone knew me in that neighborhood, and we were standing in front of the store, so everyone approached me and her. And then Larry took her on the side to talk to her. I don't know what was discussed.
All right, let me go through what you told police in July 31st.
okay.
And then she offered me, said, well, I know a way how to get us back on our feet. She asked if I knew someone who could kill her husband for her. I said, basically, no, I don't. I was at a clothing store, it's called Urban Wear. It's a cousin of mine. There were some people standing there. They overheard the conversation. They said they'll do it. Do you remember that?
Yeah, somewhat.
Was that truthful when you said it to the police on July 31st of 2009?
Yes.
My property.
Okay. Yes.
I just want to clarify. You were asking a lot of questions there. Did you actually hear Ms. Dippolito ask Larry if he would commit this act, or did Larry tell you?
When they got out of the car, I asked Larry, what was going on, and he told me.
So you did not hear Ms. Dippolito say that?
Not to Larry, no, not directly.
Okay, so you're all of your knowledge, based on this Larry incident, is from Larry in prison. Larry is now in prison.
Yeah, he wasn't in prison then. I mean, obviously.
No.
Yeah.
So the words coming out of Ms. Dippolito's mouth never hit your ears. The words coming out of Larry's mouth, they were.
Correct.
Okay.
Okay.
Nothing further to it.
All right. You can ask the following question as impeachment with respect to the believability on July 31st, 2008. You can't go into anything further about Larry. You can ask the question that was just answered. Did Ms. Dippolito at that time when you went there ask whether you knew someone who could kill her husband? We're not going to get into the rest of it because that's going to be based on sheer speculation about what they discussed. You can set the scene that they went somewhere, but you can't go any further after that. After that question, that's a statement by a party opponent. It is impeachment for the statement about believability, but that's as far as you can go. Okay, bring in the jury. Council may be seated. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Mr. Williams, you may proceed.
Mr. Shihadeh, back in March of 2009, prior to you ever going to Long Beach Police Department, did Miss Dippolito purchase you a Range Rover?
Yes.
Objection, Judge.
And you had that vehicle for 2 weeks?
Yes.
During that 2-week time, did you meet Miss Dippolito at a store in Riviera Beach called Urbanware?
Yes.
And that belonged to your cousin?
Correct.
And when you met her there, did she ask you if she could borrow some money from you?
I don't remember.
You don't remember her asking to borrow about $200,000 from you?
Her asking to borrow from me 200,000? No.
No? I'll show you page 3. And it's at page 4. First. Is this your recorded statement from July 31st of 2009?
Okay.
Bottom of page 3 here. Just read it to yourself. You know when you're done.
Okay.
You finished?
Yeah.
Did she ask you then if she could borrow $200,000 from you?
Yes.
And tell the jury why she wanted to borrow $200,000 from you.
To replace the money that was missing out of, I think it was a funded account that her husband was supposed to pay restitution to.
Okay, so it was from the money that her husband gave her for restitution, right?
Uh-huh.
That's what she told you?
Yeah.
That same time, did she then tell you that she knew a way that you guys could both get back onto your feet financially?
Yes.
Did she ask you at that time, in March of 2009, if you knew somebody that she could hire to kill her husband?
Yes.
From that time of March of 2009 until the time you went to the Boynton Beach Police Department, did she repeatedly ask you to help her find somebody to kill her husband?
Yes.
You told the jury that you believed Ms. Dippolito was the victim of domestic violence on July 31st, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is that a yes?
Yes.
And you told the police that she was a victim of domestic violence.
Well, I told him that that she's claiming he's abusing her and she can't do anything and keeps questioning her about money
And you told, okay.
and she wants to be dead or she wants him dead.
All right. You told the police that you believed that was truthful, right? What she was
Yeah.
telling you.
Yes.
Who's Officer Robert from Palm Beach Gardens?
I don't remember.
You don't remember?
Robert, give me a last name.
Yeah, or Officer Roberts. You remember a detective who used to come into your store all the time, and when you had a convenience store in Palm Beach Gardens on Military Trail by the police department?
Yes, actually I do.
Do you remember that?
Yeah, I do.
Do you remember telling the police at the Boynton Beach Police Department that everything she was saying to Officer Roberts about being the victim of domestic violence was a lie?
I don't remember if it's in my testimony. It's in my testimony. I don't remember, what exact words.
And then basically, she tried to lie to Officer Roberts, to Detective Robert, and and say that her husband was beating her and that he was selling drugs and he's on probation and that there's drugs in his truck at the gym every morning. And Officer Robert asked her many times to come in and speak to him. She wouldn't because she said she is scared for her life. It was all a lie. Because I even told Robert that she tells me that he's the nicest, sweetest nerd, but she can't stand him. He would never lay his hands on her. Did you say that to those officers at Point Beach on July 31st, 2009?
I don't remember. Yeah, I don't remember.
Look at it.
Yeah.
Look at it. So on the bottom of page 18 where it's highlighted, go on to page 19, read as much as you want.
Okay. Do you want me?
That's what I just read.
Yeah.
You've been to college, right?
Yeah.
You got a college degree?
Yeah.
Business administration?
Yeah.
Where'd you go?
FAU.
Okay. And you can read fine?
Yeah.
You're a smart guy?
Yeah.
You've owned businesses?
Yeah.
Successful?
Yeah.
You know how to take care of yourself?
Yeah.
Did Ms. Dippolito tell you about how she planted drugs in her husband's vehicle?
Objection, witness stated. Objection, Judge.
Overruled.
Did she tell you?
Just told me I don't remember though exactly how.
All right, let me show you page 8. Starts down on the bottom, page 8, continues on to page 9. You can review that, let me know when you're ready.
You want me to read it, you said?
No, just read it yourself. I want you to refresh your memory from it so that you remember what you actually said.
Okay.
You remember that?
Yeah.
Mr. Shihadeh, you need to turn that off.
Okay, sorry.
What did Ms. Dippolito tell you about planting drugs in her husband's vehicle?
That was put in the gas tank.
Tell the jury what kind of drugs she put in his gas tank.
I think it was cocaine maybe or Xanax.
Did they ask you what kind?
Yes.
You knew what it was?
Cocaine and
back then?
Xanax, yeah.
Cocaine and Xanax? And why did she put it in his gas tank?
Objection, speculation.
What'd she tell you?
Yes, sir.
You can answer that question.
To get him arrested.
Did that work out? Did she tell you that worked out?
No.
He found it, right?
Yes.
And he suspected that she put it there.
I don't know if he suspected that she put it there.
Sustained.
Did Ms. Dippolito discuss with you a plan of what she was going to do with her husband, how to get rid of him?
Well, we really didn't talk about ever getting rid of him. It was trying to get him locked up. The only time we talked about getting rid of him was when it came to the urban wear store. And that's when she talked to Larry.
So initially, it was killing him in the beginning in March of 2009, right?
Yeah, she said, I want him dead or me dead. But a plan or how to do it or anything like that was never discussed until we went to the clothing store, Urban Wear, and Larry told me.
Yes, Judge.
I wanted to go back to the plan of getting him locked up. Was her plan to get him locked up due to selling drugs, being caught with drugs?
To violate probation.
Got it. And he would get sentenced to a long period of time in prison?
Yes.
And by the time he got out, she would take his money and she'd be nowhere to be found.
Objection, no personal knowledge.
Lay up predicate.
Is that what she told you?
I don't know what the plan was after 25 years, but
Page 10, or page 12. Read this here and look and see what the plan was.
okay.
So what was the plan at the end?
That he wouldn't be able to trace it to the Cayman Islands.
So she would take off with the money and he'd never be able to find it, right?
I guess so.
Is that what you told
Yeah.
the police?
Yes.
Was it truthful what you told them back on July 31st, 2009?
Yes.
How many times did she ask you to buy her a gun?
I had my own guns. I don't remember exactly of her asking me to go purchase a gun for her.
Objection, sustained objection.
Overruled.
All right, let's look at page 12. Line 18. Go ahead and read that to yourself. Tell me when you're ready.
Okay.
So after the plan of getting him locked up didn't work, did she ask you to buy her a gun?
Yes.
Did she ask you to buy her a gun several times?
I don't remember who several times.
Did she try to take a gun from the glove compartment of your vehicle?
Yes.
Did that make you upset that she tried to take a gun from the glove compartment of your vehicle?
Yes.
Did she offer you $5,000 for the gun from the glove compartment of your vehicle, or to buy your gun?
Sustained objection.
Overruled.
Did she?
Yes.
You told the jury that you didn't believe she was serious about killing her husband when you went to the Boynton Beach Police Department on July 31st. Is that correct?
Yes.
Can you tell the jury, explain to them why You then told those police officers on July 31st. Then that's when I decided to come to you guys, because she is really, I mean, dead serious on getting this done. Why'd you tell them that?
Because when Larry gets involved, things get done.
But Larry was back in March of 2009. We're now in July of 2009. Did you tell the police that you spoke with her on the phone? You guys communicated by phone and by text?
Yes.
And did you provide her telephone number and your telephone number to the police?
Yes.
At the time you went to the police in July of 2009, was the defendant telling her husband that she was pregnant?
Objection, no personal knowledge.
Leo Predic.
Well, do you remember, did the defendant tell you,
Yes.
prior to you going to the police on July 31st, 2009, that she was pretending to be pregnant to her husband?
Yes.
And did she tell you why she was pretending to be pregnant to her husband?
I think maybe if he finds out about the money, she has a baby, that maybe he won't get so mad. I don't remember exact detail.
Was it that he would forgive her because she was pregnant?
Yeah.
You told the jury that Detective Marino threatened you into doing this with prosecution, right?
Yes.
And you were fearful of being prosecuted?
Yes.
You didn't want to go on August 1st to meet her at the mobile gas station?
No, after I went to the police that first day, I just wanted them to handle it from there on.
After you left the mobile gas station, the defendant got out of your vehicle. While you were at the mobile gas station with her, did she give you money?
I think so.
$1,200?
I think that was for, to give to supposedly the hitman or something to
Right.
purchase a weapon.
So the hitman could buy a gun and some phones?
Yeah.
And she gave you that money
Yes.
voluntarily?
Yes.
And did she also give you a picture of what Mike Dippolito looked like?
I don't remember if a picture was given to me.
It was on the video. Would that be truthful?
Yes.
Do you remember giving a picture of you to what her house looked like?
I never knew what her husband looked like until I guess
Her house also. She gave a picture of what her house looked like on the outside.
I think so. I'm not sure.
Well, you took whatever she gave you and you turned it over to the police when you got back to the police station?
Yes.
If the police were threatening you, on the way back to the police station, did you speak to a friend of yours or a relative on the cell phone while you were heading back to the police station?
Yes.
And if the police were threatening you, explain to this jury why you made this statement to that friend or relative on the way back
Uh-huh.
about why you were So now they're following me back to the police station so they can unwire me, take the evidence. It's inaudible because the person is speaking to you in another language, right?
Okay.
You said, I can't. I'm not going to be able to sleep knowing that. And it's inaudible. This is speaking in another language. You said, I'm not going to be able to sleep knowing someone's going to get killed, you know. I have to get it off my chest, you know. Why did you say that to him?
Because that was after Larry got involved.
No. You just told this jury that on July 31st,
Right.
these detectives started threatening you. They told you you had to go down there. You
Right.
had to cooperate or you were going to be prosecuted. You had to sign the confidential informant agreement.
Right.
They lied to you about whether you're going to be kept confidential.
Right.
They told you were going to have to do nothing other than make a phone call. Detective Marina calls you on August 1st
Right.
and threatens you with prosecution if you don't go down,
Right.
right? And tells you if you don't cooperate with him, bad things are going to happen to you.
Right.
And repeatedly calls you,
Correct.
forces you to come down there.
Correct.
You tell them you don't want to be involved.
Correct.
You tell them absolutely, I don't want nothing to do with this. I don't want to have to do anything.
Correct.
Then why in the world would you tell your relative or friend none of that?
That was my uncle on the phone that I was speaking to in Arabic, and he asked me what I was doing while I wasn't at the store at my business, and I said I was at the mobile gas station. I got to go turn back the evidence. And he's like, "See, you should have never called the police. You should have never got involved." And I remember that same exact conversation where I said, "Well, the reason why I called is because there's something happened. I didn't want it to be on my conscience." But for me to proceed on with his whole investigation, phone calls, cameras, all that, I didn't want to do.
Well, I'm going to show you that in the rest of the statement.
Judge, improper foundation, Judge.
Approach, I'm not sure what he's doing yet.
You continued to talk with your uncle for quite a while. On the
Correct.
back, right?
Yes.
You never told your uncle, this close relative of yours, that the police were threatening you.
Oh, no, he knew.
Oh, he did.
I told him from day one. I said that I went to the police station. He got mad at me for even going to the police station from day one. Yeah. Because I was going through a divorce at the time and I didn't need any more drama.
So then tell them why, when he asks you, why are you doing this? Why wouldn't you have told him, because the police threatened me, if I didn't do it, they were going to prosecute me? If that
He doesn't really comprehend like that. He's very old school fashioned, doesn't speak good English, and he doesn't know what prosecution means.
But you spoke to him in English.
Yeah, but he doesn't understand what prosecution means. He doesn't understand that kind of language. He's not.
He understands I'm not going to be able to sleep knowing someone's going to get
Judge,
killed.
have the conversation in Arabic, Judge.
Overruled.
He understands I'm not going to be able to sleep knowing someone's going to get killed, but he doesn't understand someone's threatening me to do this. That he doesn't understand, right? Is that what you're telling this jury?
Well, that's not the way the conversation started or happened or ended. He asked me, why is it still going on? Why are you still going to evidence? Why are you still making calls? You went to the police station and said it was done. So you should have never went to the police station. Then I answered him back with, well, if I didn't, I have a conscience. I wouldn't be able to sleep at night. So that's where the conversation went.
But you never once told him during this call that
No.
anybody was threatening you.
No.
You were really upset about the cops threatening you and making you do this. You were really upset.
Yes.
Yeah, you were really upset, weren't you?
Uh-huh.
It would have been the first thing on the tip of your mind. These stupid cops are threatening me. How dare they?
Right.
Counsel testify. Is he asking a question or?
Overruled. Overruled.
On August 10th, You already told the jury that you went back and you met with Detective Marino again, right? And that's when he threatened you again if you didn't come in, he's going to prosecute you. Is that correct?
I don't want to say the word, threat. He kept on saying that if something happens, it's going to fall on you and you will get prosecuted. So, I mean, I take that as a threat.
You were really upset, right?
Yeah, I mean, I was getting called in all the time, phone calls all the time. And, I had my own problems I was dealing with at the time.
And exactly what did he say to threaten you? You're a smart guy. What did he say?
He said if something happens, that it's going to fall on you for not telling us or not communicating with us, and not, it's, forgot the word he used, like, I don't know, if you go into a convenience store and the friend that you're with robs a convenience store and you're sitting outside driving to getaway, it's kind of, forgot the word he used. Accomplice, like, I guess just, knowing about a crime and not reporting it.
And he was going to prosecute you.
Yes,
Repeatedly told you that, right?
yes.
You recall the defendant buying you the Range Rover?
Yes.
How much did she pay for the Range Rover?
I don't remember.
Is that the bill of sale from the Range Rover that she bought you?
Yes.
How much did she pay for it?
38.
$38,000. Tell the jury where she got the money from.
Objection, no personal knowledge.
Clear predicate.
Were you with her when she got the money?
No, I think it was at the dealership.
What's that?
Maybe it was at the dealership, I don't know.
Do you remember going to a Bank of America and going through the drive-thru with Ms. Dippolito and picking up that check?
I don't remember if I was with him, I really don't.
Who paid for the Range Rover?
She did.
She paid for the whole $38,000?
No, I mean, she paid for $38,000. The Range Rover was more. I think I gave him some money too with it. I don't remember the total
So
purchase.
it was more than $38,000.
Yes,
How much did you actually contribute?
I don't remember.
She paid the majority of the deal.
Correct.
Explain to the jury why. So in March of 2009, right, is that what you told us?
Yes.
In March of 2009, you knew she was married to Mike Dippolito, right?
Uh-huh.
Tell this jury what you did for her that she would give you $38,000 towards the purchase of the deal. What did you do for her that she thought that was worth $38,000?
Well, we had kind of a relationship going on and off, and we spent a lot of time together.
All right, so during March of 2009, were you having a sexual relationship with Ms. Dippolito?
Yes.
Do you know when she married Mike Dippolito?
No.
How long did you keep the Range Rover?
2 weeks, maybe.
And what did you do with it after 2 weeks?
Got rid of it.
Where'd you sell it?
I don't remember.
You don't remember if it was back to that same dealer?
Probably.
And what'd you do with the cash that they gave you from the vehicle?
I was a heavy gambler back then. I don't remember.
You kept it, right?
Yeah.
You didn't give it back to Ms. Dippolito, did you?
No,
She never asked for it back.
no.
You had told the jury that when you showed up to the police department on July 31st of 2009, that you did not believe that she was going to kill her husband. Right?
Yes,
About a week or 10 days, somewhere in that range, prior to July 31st, did you speak to Ms. Dippolito about poisoning her husband?
Objection, Judge.
Did Ms. Dippolito speak to you about poisoning her husband?
yes,
She was asking you were asking her why she wanted to kill her husband, right?
yes,
And you were telling her, why don't you just divorce him? Right?
yes,
And she told you, and you said, why don't you figure out another way out of this? You told her that, right?
yes,
And she told you, she said that she's tried. She said she even tried poisoning him. You said to her, what do you mean poisoning him? She told you that she researched something on the internet about some kind of antifreeze that's odorless, doesn't have a smell, doesn't have a color, and she put it in his tea and he spit it.
I don't remember exact words. But
Is that what she told you?
yes,
She told him that it was maybe 2 pounds of sugar. Is that yes?
yes,
Did Ms. Dippolito tell you what she did with the $200,000 that she took?
no. I know she was going back and forth to California, but I don't know.
All right, let me show you page 12. Right up there. Take a look at that and see if that refreshes your memory, what she told you about what she did with the 200 grand. Remember that? And what did she do with it?
I don't know. It just says shopping, traveling, I don't know.
Did you say? She said that he asked her to transfer the money, gave her some money to put in the bank account, but she never did. She spent it.
Yeah.
I want to go over that confidential informant with you. Take a look at it. That's the confidential informant packet. Is that it?
Yes.
Let's look for the jury so we can see it all together. name on the top?
Yes,
Is that your address right underneath it?
yes,
Back on July 31st, 2009, is that your age?
yes,
Race,
yes,
sex,
yes,
height,
yes,
weight,
yes,
hair color,
yes,
eyes,
yes,
your build,
yes,
complexion,
yes,
date of birth,
yes,
place of birth,
yes,
social security,
yes,
DL number,
yes,
state,
yes,
type,
yes,
expiration date.
yes,
Is that the vehicle you were driving at the time?
yes,
Did they go through your criminal history with you?
yes. I didn't have any.
They talked about that with you, right?
Yeah,
You haven't.
no,
Do you know if they did a background check on you?
I don't know.
Objection, Judge, will you approve?
Yes.
Can you see this from where you are, Mr. Shihadeh?
Yes,
Make it as big as possible. I want you to read this to the jury. Start with the top and work your way down.
I may never search.
Now start at the very top.
I'm
What's the title?
I can't see that far. Actually, can you make it a little bit bigger?
Yeah, actually what I'll do. Yeah, it's not, so turn it on. Okay, can you see it clearly?
Yes.
All right, start at the top. What's the title?
Confidential source code of conduct.
Okay, next paragraph.
I, Mohammed Shihadeh, understand that while I am cooperating and assisting the Boynton Beach Police Department, agree the following. I may never search any suspect person, house, papers, or physical effects. I also understand that I may not effect any physical arrests or violations during my association with the investigation agency.
You understand what that means?
Yeah. I further understand I am not an employee of the Boynton Beach Police Department of any participating agency, and that I may not use any documents or equipment that law enforcement officer that I am not to use.
I don't want to skip. It says that you
Well,
may
my
not-
eyesight's bad.
Yeah, it says, I'll read it. I may not use any documents or equipment that would identify me with a law enforcement agency. I fully understand that I am not a law enforcement officer and that I am not to use my association with the Boynton Beach Police Department. You understand what that means?
Yes.
No question, right?
Yeah.
Number 3, I fully understand that I am not to carry a firearm or weapon of any type while working with law
Yes.
And in fact, every time you went out and did something, did they take your gun from your car?
Yes.
Number 4, I further agree to keep in constant contact with Boynton Beach Police Department Investigative Services Unit while assisting them. You understand what that means, right?
Yes.
Okay. Number 5, I further understand that I may be required to testify in court in cases that I am involved in. I agree to tell the whole factual truth when testifying. I agree to inform the court and the Boynton Beach Police Department Investigative Services Unit of any change in my address for subpoena service and to make myself available for court, depositions, or any other action that the court may require. You understand what that means, right?
Yes.
Number 6, I understand that I am not being asked to create a crime or to create crime. I further understand that I am only working to interrupt ongoing criminal activity. You understand what that means, right?
Correct.
And you did that, right?
Yes.
Number 7, I will not ask anyone to commit crimes that they are not already doing or capable of doing. You understand what that means, right?
Yes.
And you followed that instruction, didn't
Yes.
you? Number 8, I understand. Pause it out. Okay. Number 8, I understand that I'm not to use sexual enticement or promises of future sexual acts to get someone to commit a criminal act. You understand what that means, right?
Yes.
You didn't do that, did you?
No.
Number 9, I understand that I will not be allowed to beg, pressure, lure, or threaten anyone to commit a criminal act that they ordinarily would not do. You understand what that means, right?
Yes.
And you did not do that, did you?
Correct.
Number 10, I completely understand that the Boynton Beach Police Department is not interested in investigating innocent people. They are only interested in people that I know who are committing crimes and intend to commit crimes in the future. You understand what that means, right?
Yes.
No question.
Right.
And you follow along with that.
Right.
Good. Number 11, I further understand that I may not engage in any illegal or improper conduct so long as I am working with the Boynton Beach Police Department. You understand what that means?
Yes.
And did you do that?
Yes.
Good. Number 12, I understand that I will receive expense money only. The amount and frequency of expense money that I receive will be determined only by the unit supervisor and not by my case agent. Expense money does not include any reward monies or profit of any kind for my participation in the program. You understand what that means?
Yes.
And in fact, you didn't ask for a dime in this case, did you?
No.
And they didn't give you any money, did they?
No.
And they didn't offer you any money, did they?
Objection has been answered 3 times.
Overruled.
Did they?
No.
Number 13, if an investigation in which I take part results in a seizure and or forfeiture of property or money, I understand I will not receive any money or property based on a percentage of the property or money seized or forfeited. You understand that?
Yes.
There's never any agreement differently than that?
No.
Number 14, further, I understand that any violations arising from my actions in violation of the aforementioned circumstances will result in an investigation of the matter. If the charges are substantiated, appropriate action to include the possibility of criminal prosecution will be taken. You understand what that means?
Yes.
You didn't do anything to
No.
violate that, did you? Number 15, I agree to cooperate with the Boynton Beach Police Department of my own free will and not as a result of any intimidation or threats. You understand what that means?
Yes.
And you cooperate with that?
Yes.
Number 16, I agree not to simultaneously act as a confidential source for any agency other than the Boynton Beach Police Department without the prior permission of the Boynton Beach Police Department. You understand what 16 means?
Yes.
You didn't do that either, did you?
No.
Number 17, I understand that I may be requested during any investigation to submit to drug screen urinalysis, polygraph, stress analysis test, or other tests designed to ensure my effectiveness and credibility as a confidential source. I agree to submit to any such examination immediately upon request. You understand what that means?
Yes.
Number 18, I understand that I may be subject to search during any meeting with an investigator. I further consent to a search of my belongings and vehicle. I fully understand that any illegal contraband found subsequent to the search may be used as evidence against me in court. You understand what 18 means?
Yes.
Awesome. Number 19, I understand that lodging is provided for me by the Boynton Beach Police Department. I am consenting to search of the premises and my person by an investigator at any time. You understand what that means?
Yeah.
There was no lodging, right?
No.
Number 20, while working as a confidential source for the Boynton Beach Police Department, I will take blank as an assumed name for security purposes. You never had an assumed name for this case, did you?
No.
All right, number 21, I hereby release the city of Boynton Beach, the members of the Investigative Services Unit, the Boynton Beach Police Department, its officers, agents, affiliates, and any other cooperating law enforcement agency from any liability or injury that may arise as a result of the agreement. You understand what that means?
Yes.
Okay. Let's go to page 5. Is that your signature?
Yes.
And dated July 31st, 2009?
Yes.
Okay. On the document we just finished reading, the second page, is that your signature?
Yes.
Dated July 31st, 2009?
Yes.
All right, so on page 5, it says permission to intercept oral communication, warnings of constitutional rights. You have the right to remain silent. You understand what that means, right?
Yeah.
Anything you say will be used in court as evidence against you. You understand what that means, right?
Yes.
You are entitled to talk to an attorney now and have him present now or at any time during questions. You understand what that means?
Yes.
In fact, you had access to Ian Goldstein, who is a well-known criminal defense attorney in this town, right?
Yes.
Good. He's a good criminal attorney, right?
Yes.
Number 4, if you cannot afford an attorney, one would be appointed for you without cost, but you could afford an attorney, right?
Yes.
Number 5, if at any time hereafter you wish to remain silent or have an attorney present, all questioning will be stopped. You understand what that means, right?
Yes.
I, Mohammed Shihadeh, after being fully advised of my constitutional rights, hereby give my consent to members of the VIN unit. You know, that's the unit that you were dealing with, that were doing the undercover work.
Okay.
Right? Or any other officer of the Boynton Beach Police Department to install an electronic listening device or any other device designed for the purpose of monitoring conversations on or about my person for the purpose of conducting a criminal investigation and to record those conversations for evidentiary purposes. You understand what that means?
Yes.
Good. My permission is given voluntarily and freely. I have been familiarized with Chapter 934.03 statutes and hereby my consent to monitor and record my conversations with the above mentioned officers. You understand what that means? What's that?
Yes.
Yeah? Okay, perfect. The next table with numbers in it. And this is number 1. This is number 6. This is the one you told the jury you never saw before.
Yes.
Is that your signature on it?
Yes, but number 1 and 2, I never remember on that page. I would specifically, my main thing was being confidential.
Okay.
Where it says 1 and 2,
Okay.
to me, it just seems like it was added there.
All right, well, let me ask you this question. You think 1 and 2 was added there? Look at number 5. You already said you understood that. I just think that was awesome.
Well, number 5 doesn't say anything about releasing your name to the media or releasing your name to any other source. It just says about court. Has nothing to do.
Everybody's going to know who you are, right?
Well, I mean, if there was a trial going on, I didn't think it would be a public trial, or I didn't think it was going to blow up.
All right, well, did you know that your name wasn't released for a long time?
It was on YouTube the next day.
Hold on, I got objections, please. You want to approach? Mr. Williams?
What piece of evidence was released that had your name on it? Oh, sure.
I'm sorry?
What piece of evidence was released on YouTube that had your name on it?
The cameras that were in my car, me and her met.
Sure. And tell the jury what those cameras showed.
It showed her and me talking, her handing me money.
Overruled.
Have you seen them?
Yes.
Is your face on that video?
The side of my face, but I mean, I had unique stuff in the car that people on YouTube knew who it was. My voice, I had TV screens on all my seats. And then I think on the show Cops, when they did the fake crime scene, the media had really gotten hold of my name.
That was 2 years later.
No, I mean, it was on YouTube like a day or two later.
Okay. I mean, you've already told us you have a pretty bad memory about things that happened back then.
Yeah.
Are you good with dates?
No, not right now.
Let's go through this. So, release, whereas the undersigned confidential source desires to cooperate with the main unit of the Point Beach Police Department and to aid the unit in apprehending persons committing drug-related crimes in the city. You understand what that means, right?
Yes.
All right. So it doesn't say anything here. This isn't set up for the type of crime you were involved with.
Right.
With trying to hire murder. This is drug crimes, right?
Right.
Whereas it may be necessary for the protection of the confidential source, you, to simulate the arrest of the source, furnish the source's name to the press and other news media in connection with the arrest, and to take other steps to induce persons involved in drug transactions to believe that the confidential source is not cooperating with the Point Beach Police Department. You understand what that means, right?
Yes.
All right, so it says furnish the source's name. What does that mean to you?
Like I said, I read it through very quickly. I tried to get a hold of Ian. He was at a murder trial. He got a hold of me after I signed it. I didn't, you know, when you're there, you're not going to read every little, sentence, kind of like a fine print of a credit card,
Okay. Great, but you signed this page. How long would it take you to read this page?
Maybe a minute.
You're telling this jury that you didn't even bother to spend a minute to read this page before you signed it.
No, I did read it. I just don't remember seeing 1 and 2 there.
Okay, well, no, all right, agreed. So you read this, right?
Yeah, I read it, but I just,
You read this entire CI packet and everything.
Repeat the question.
Of the source.
Did you want to say something else?
I mean, the way I just understood it, I mean, I understood it differently. I mean, but 1 and 2, I could put everything I have on it that was not in there.
All right, just so the jury's aware, we've already talked about that. Your memory of what happened back in July of 2008, 2009 is pretty bad right now.
It's bad, but when it comes to something personal, like children, family, release name, I would pay attention to.
Okay.
Personal stuff, I would pay attention to.
Did you read this?
Yes.
Therefore, in consideration of the foregoing promises and other good and valuable consideration, the undersigned agrees to the following. 1, that the Long Beach Police Department is authorized to simulate arrest of the undersigned and release his or her name to the news media in connection with the arrest, and to take other steps necessary to protect the undersigned as a confidential source. Do you understand what that means?
Right.
Is that not just repeating what's in here?
I misunderstood it.
Okay. And number 2, that the undersigned release the city of Point Beach, its agents, officers, and employees from all claims or liability arising from the acts authorized by paragraph 1 above, agrees that the city shall not be liable to the undersigned for any damage to the undersigned resulting from the aforementioned actions of the city of Point Beach. You understand what that means, right?
Yes.
And you sign that page as well.
Mm-hmm.
When you went to the Long Beach Police Department, you were not working off any kind of pending criminal charges against yourself.
No.
You were not getting paid a dime.
You didn't ask and answer, you don't have this question.
Overruled.
Were you?
No.
And you were never asking for or offered anything by the police department?
No.
When you left Chili's, you walked out the door with Mr. Dippolito. Did you not go directly to her vehicle and drive with her over to the CVS to meet with the undercover officer?
Yes.
So you guys walked out together,
Yes, I think so.
and she drove her Tahoe, and you got in the passenger seat.
Okay.
Do you remember that?
Yes.
And then you guys drove over to the CVS, Patty Corner, right?
Mm-hmm.
Across Conroe's and Gateway,
Yes.
and parked the vehicle over by the CVS. She parked it.
Mm-hmm.
Is that a yes?
Yes.
And did she get out of the vehicle and then get into the red Sebring?
Yes.
What did you do while she was in the vehicle with the undercover officer?
I don't remember. I think I just probably sitting in the car, probably smoking a cigarette outside. I don't know.
Okay. Did you threaten her in any way?
No.
When you were at the Chili's with her, did you guys eat while you were at Chili's?
Yes.
While you were at the Chili's, did you threaten this video in any way?
No.
Did you intimidate her?
No.
Did you try to scare her?
No.
Did you try to tell her that these are things that she has to do?
No.
Pressure her?
No.
Nothing like that, right?
No.
You never heard any of the police officers ever discuss anything about a cops episode, did you?
No.
And you spent a good amount of time with the police officers when you were at Long Beach Police Department, when you guys were making phone calls, right?
Yes.
And Alex Moreno called you a lot of times at your house and when you were out on the street.
Yes.
And never once did anything ever come up with those police officers about the cop show.
No.
And you already told the jury that Detective Moreno told you when he wasn't around, don't call her, right?
I think so. Yeah.
And you told us that before. Is that what he told you?
I think that's what he told me. I'm not sure if he told me that.
And he said if you happened to take a call from her, to call him right away and let him know what happened, right?
Yes.
Did you do that?
I think so.
Okay. You spoke with your lawyer, Ian Goldstein, a couple times during this?
After I left the police station.
Okay. And did you ever call him back after that?
Yeah, I mean, I speak to him frequently.
Okay, and you could freely call him anytime you wanted.
Yeah.
And you could talk to him about anything that was going on.
Yes.
Yeah, he didn't tell you, don't call me, anything like that? Okay. Did you, prior to ever going to the Boynton Beach Police Department, did you call Ian Goldstein and talk to him about it?
I don't remember I did. I don't know. I don't think so.
Okay. Just want to show you. So this is a deposition of you. That'd be February 3rd of 2011. Just look at this part here. Start with this question on line 11. Read that to yourself. See if that refreshes your memory about whether you contacted Ian Goldstein prior to ever going to the Boynton Beach Police Department to talk about it. Does that refresh your memory at all?
Yes.
Did you actually talk to Ian Goldstein prior to going to the Boynton Beach Police Department?
Yeah, I gave him a call, told him I was going to the Boynton Beach Police Department, but we didn't get in detail.
Okay, well, why did you call him to tell him that you were going to the Boynton Beach Police Department about it? Why would you call a lawyer and tell him that?
Anytime I hear the word police, I always involve my attorney.
So before you ever drove over on July 31st, you told him you were going there?
Yes,
And he knew what you were going there for?
yes.
When you, after you guys left the Chili's and drove over to the CVS, what happened? Did you guys go back over to the Chili's after, so that Ms. Dippolito could drop you off over by your vehicle?
I don't remember, maybe.
Well, where was your vehicle? Did you guys go to Chili's separately or together?
I think we went separately.
All right, so your car would have been at Chili's?
Yes,
Obviously, did you leave there on your own
Yeah.
after it was over?
yes,
And you guys separated ways after that, after the meeting? Okay. Did you guys meet at Chili's to kill time?
yes.
Was she asking you if the guy that was going to do the hit was cool and how you know this guy?
I don't recall. I don't.
Well, after you went back to Chili's and got your vehicle and left, did you go back to the Boynton Beach Police Department and meet with Detective Moreno?
I think so, yes.
And he went over in detail everything that you guys talked about at the Chili's?
Yes.
And when you talked to him about what happened at the Chili's, did you tell him the truth about what happened at the Chili's?
Well, they had a wire on me.
All right, but just when you went back and talked about it, did you
Yeah.
tell him the truth about what happened at the Chili's?
Yes.
Okay. Did you explain to Ms. Dippolito that you knew the hitman from an underground casino?
Probably.
Did she tell you that she wanted to make sure that her husband was killed as soon as possible?
Probably.
Was she concerned about potentially having evidence traced back to her?
Objection, speculation, no personal knowledge.
Clear predicate.
Was she talking to you about a concern that she was concerned about some evidence being traced back to her?
I don't remember if she asked me.
Do you remember you telling her, don't spend all the money? Someone's going to find out about it?
Maybe.
Did she tell you that she was going to give you some money after Mike Dippolito was killed?
I don't remember.
You didn't want,
No.
you didn't want Mike Dippolito to get killed, did you?
No.
Did she go through your cell phone while you were there with her at the Chili's?
I don't know.
After she got out of Woody Jean's car and went over back to the Chili's with you, what was her mood like? Was she really happy?
Objection, speculation.
I can't remember.
Yes.
When after she got done talking with the undercover officer, she got back into the tunnel with you?
Yes.
Did you? What was her mood when she got back into the tunnel?
Objection, speculation, no
I really
personal
don't.
knowledge.
Overruled.
I don't remember. No.
for your time. I appreciate it.
You want to move, I'm assuming you want the screen down, Rosenfeld? You want, no, you want the screen down?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. If you move the screen, then we can redo it.
Yeah, Mr. Williams. Your Honor, may I approach the witness?
Yes.
I'm now showing you 6 random pieces of paper. Will you sign?
Objection, Your Honor.
I'm sorry, what? Approach. Approach a minute.
You have 1 minute. Read these documents and sign them all. Starting now. Sign each page, please.
You serious?
Yeah. 50 seconds. Oh, 40. Sign each page. We got 2 more. Sign them all. Almost 2 minutes. Mr. Shihadeh, would you please explain these documents to me?
I just saw something about, in order for probation, in order for, I don't know, I didn't read it.
Oh, you didn't? All right, so in 2 minutes, you didn't understand what happened in these documents?
No,
If you want to call your attorney, you can go see. Can that help?
he's not available right now.
Okay. Assuming you spoke to him right now, not gone over these. Can you tell me what these documents mean?
I mean, even if I spoke to him, if he doesn't have a copy, how is he supposed to explain it to me?
So you're telling me in 2 minutes of going through 6 pages of legal documents, you don't understand them?
No.
How is that possible?
I didn't have enough time to read them.
Oh, but if I put a podium up and sat here and read each thing to you one at a time, would you then understand it?
Yes.
Okay, that's proper procedure, right? All right. And Ian Goldstein is a former attorney of yours, right?
Yes.
He's a buddy of yours? He was on vacation?
I think he was at a murder trial.
All right, you didn't pay him to help you out on this incident?
No,
I don't believe I see him in court today. He's not here, right?
no. He's in Tampa for another murder trial.
Okay. And just to clarify for the jury right now, you're subpoenaed to be here today, right?
Yes.
We're not buddies. You're not here doing me a favor?
No.
You're not doing Mr. Claypool a favor?
No.
Ms. Dippolito?
No.
Okay. And also, you had, let me grab my marker real quick. Mr. Williams played or read a transcript to you about a conversation with your uncle when you were in the car, right?
Yes.
And isn't it true that you spoke to your uncle before that conversation about this?
Yes.
And isn't it true that you already told your uncle before this call,
Sustained.
before this call, this cherry-picked call that was, explained to you, had you told your uncle that the police had threatened you?
Sustained.
Was your uncle aware before this call the police had threatened you?
Yes.
Okay. Say that in the microphone so they can hear you.
Yes.
Yes, your uncle was aware. So the ladies and gentlemen of the jury only heard a portion of what was going on,
Yes.
subsequent to your conversation with your uncle.
Yes.
And in that conversation, you talked about someone getting killed. You didn't say Mike Dippolito, did you?
No, he doesn't know the name. I would-
Okay, but you had testified earlier that when you went to the police, you were worried about Dalia Dippolito getting hurt or Mike Dippolito, right?
Yes.
And in that call that Mr. Williams read to you, you didn't say, I'm worried about Mike Dippolito getting killed, did you?
No.
No. Okay. That was also cherry-picked.
Judge, I'd object to the comment.
I'll withdraw the comment.
Sustained.
All right, and the state asked you about Urban Outfitters, and that's your cousin's store, right?
Yes.
And about, I don't know, soliciting someone to, talking about someone, excuse me, this about killing her husband. You never directly heard Miss Dippolito tell anyone that, right?
No, they went in the car.
Okay, so somebody else told you this.
Yes.
You never heard Miss Dippolito say,
Objection leading.
I like a little latitude.
Approach.
So when you were at the store, did you ever hear Miss Dippolito, Dalia Dippolito, ask someone to kill her husband?
No, he told me.
Okay, so some random guy told you.
Yes.
Okay. Would you consider that word on the street?
Yes.
Are you familiar with street talk?
Yes.
I'm trying to think of an appropriate term to use in this courtroom. Is it fair to say there's a lot of BS in street talk?
Objection, speculation.
Personal knowledge of street talk?
Overruled.
Yes.
Okay. So just to be clear, and I didn't ask you this with those documents that you signed that understanding you. When Mr. Williams got up here and read to you line by line, in seven, I think it was, if I timed it correctly, 7 minutes, the entire CI packet went through with you. In court, did you understand it?
Yes.
Why in court did you understand it?
Because I didn't have 3 or 4 officers on top of me or, you know, asking me questions while I'm signing it, and I had to get back to my business. I was in a hurry, so I just signed it.
You were in a hurry, so you had time today.
Yes.
Okay. So that day, in the police station, you testified you did not understand it.
I didn't have time to read it.
Okay.
I know for a fact if I seen that one sentence alone about, you know, creating a crime scene or releasing your name or testifying, I would have never done it.
All right, let's talk about Chili's. We talked earlier about, or you testified, I don't want to, excuse me, that Ms. Dippolito seemed off in Chili's,
Uh-huh.
right?
Yeah.
That wasn't the Dalia Dippolito you knew, you cared about?
Yeah.
Okay. Isn't it true that you previously stated that she seemed reluctant and timid?
Sustained.
Did you previously tell me that she seemed reluctant and timid?
Sustained.
Is it an accurate statement that Ms. Dippolito seemed reluctant and timid in Chili's?
Sustained approach.
I'm not going to lead you here, but I just used some terms. When you said she seemed off, didn't seem like herself, what did you mean by that in Chili's?
Like, I don't know, she usually, like, jokes around a lot, laughs a lot. She wasn't.
Nervous?
Yeah.
Reluctant?
Sustained.
You want to give me some adjectives?
Like, she usually laughs, jokes around a lot, and she was just a little out of it. I don't know how to explain it to you. Just,
Something was off.
it's, you know someone for a while, you know when they're off.
That concern you a little bit?
Yeah, I didn't know what to think of it, honestly. It's just,
Okay. And I want to get back to a statement you made earlier. And I'm just going to draw your attention to something you said and ask you a question. You talked about leaving the Chili's restaurant and going back to the Boynton Beach Police Department. All right? And then laughing about her ordering food for Mike, right, before she met with the hitman. Why would she order her husband a meal at Chili's if she wanted him dead?
Staying.
Mr. Shihadeh, I know you're not a lawyer, but is it illegal to have an affair?
No.
All right, let's talk about these, State brought up you being threatened. Isn't it true that since 2011, you have consistently said you were threatened with criminal prosecution?
Yes.
Okay. That's not something new today, you just came in and made up.
No.
All right, let's talk about this poisoning stuff. That was an interesting one. You've been questioned about that several times over the past 8 years. Do you remember at one point, when being asked about it, you stated you didn't know when she told you that? Actually, there's a lead.
Approach this man. I think I may know where this is going.
All right, you said earlier, I think you gave a 10-day window about the poisoning allegation. Didn't you earlier testify that you didn't know when Miss Dippolito allegedly stated she attempted to poison her husband?
Yes.
All right. Didn't you also previously testify that you learned about this before you went to the Middle East in May of 2009? Yes?
Yes.
Okay. And today, you testified that you come up until after July 24, 2009.
Okay.
All right. I want you to, I'm going to read to you from a prior deposition, okay? Regarding the poisoning allegation. Question. Obviously, you didn't take it serious enough to do anything about it, right? Answer, yes. You understand that?
Yeah.
Hold on. Approach this man.
Okay, you didn't believe that she was actually going to poison her husband, correct?
Yes.
And you previously testified to that in the deposition?
Yes.
And you didn't call the cops about that, correct?
No.
Had you believed it, you would have called the cops about it?
Yes.
All right, you also testified about planting drugs in a car, right?
Yes.
All right. But when asked in the previous deposition, your questions, if she planted drugs or she did any of those things correct, you said no. Is that correct?
Wait, say it again, I'm sorry.
All right. So you, on direct, the state asked you
Uh-huh.
whether or not Ms. Dippolito told you about planting drugs in the car,
Okay,
correct?
yes,
And previously in a deposition when asked, but she never says to you that she planted drugs or did any of those things, correct? No, right?
yes,
Because she didn't tell you that stuff, did she? You learned that down the road
correct.
from other people. You also talked about a gun, or the state asked you about a gun she took from your car or something like that. Is that, do you recollect that question on cross-examination?
Somewhat, yes.
Okay. And isn't it true that you were worried she should get that gun to kill herself?
Objection leading, Judge.
Sustained.
Did you have a concern regarding that gun pertaining to Miss Dippolito's safety?
To everyone's safety and my name.
Okay, and did you have to everyone, does that include Miss Dippolito's personal
Yes.
safety?
Yes.
Okay. And didn't you previously state that you thought she might kill herself?
Objection leading, Judge.
Sustained.
What did you think she might do with that gun to herself?
Objection speculation.
Lay a predicate.
Did you have a concern based on your conversations with Ms. Dippolito about domestic abuse that she might hurt herself?
Yes.
Did you believe that she might use the gun from your car to hurt herself?
Objection leading.
Overruled.
Yes,
And was that the main reason why you called the police on July 31st, 2009?
I called the police because my gun was gonna get taken.
And that's at the point when you were concerned, as you just stated, about Miss Dippolito hurting herself because of the domestic abuse, correct?
Leading and asked and answered.
Sustained.
As you stated on direct examination, first thing you said, on July 31st, 2009, did you call the police, the Boynton Beach Police Department, about a domestic violence situation involving Dalia Dippolito?
Objection leading and asked and answered.
Leading. Sustained.
On July 31st, 2009, what was the primary reason why you called the police?
Objection asked and answered.
Overruled.
Because I was worried someone was gonna get killed or hurt.
And does that include Miss Dippolito?
Yes,
All right, Mr. Williams also on cross read you a lot of testimony about this second interview that was recorded at the Boynton Beach Police Department. Do you remember that?
no,
On cross, he got up here and he said, pulled up a transcript
right,
from Boynton Beach from July 31st, 2009,
okay, yes,
and he read to you from the transcript.
yes,
Okay. Did you have a first interview?
Objection, Judge asked and answered.
Overruled.
Did you have a first interview?
Yes.
Okay, on July 31st, 2009.
Yes. I don't know the exact date, but I had a first interview.
All right, and during that interview, testified on direct, that you spoke to them about the domestic abuse. Was that during the first interview?
Yes.
Okay. You also testified on direct that you brought it up in the second interview and they laughed. Is that true?
Yes.
Okay. and they restarted the recording.
This is leading, Judge, and ask the answer.
Did they restart the recording after they laughed at you?
Yes.
Judge, leading and ask the
I
answer.
think rehabilitate, Judge, respectfully.
Overrule that objection.
So after the second interview, after they started laughing at you about the domestic stuff, they restarted the tape.
Yes, they asked me to restate my name and redo it.
Okay. May I see that transcript? The second interview? Did they ask you to raise your right hand again? Swore you in? You don't remember, okay. But they restarted it. And in that interview, that second interview, did they ask you about the domestic abuse after they restarted the tape?
Not that I recall.
Okay. So this would be pretty much useless then, huh?
Objection.
Sustained.
And didn't you also testify on direct examination, I want to make sure I got this right, that you told the police what they wanted to hear? Correct?
I mean, to them it was kind of like, you know, a crazy story and they got what they wanted, I mean, in a way.
Okay. One moment, Your Honor. All right, so Mr. Williams went through this second interview that we just talked about, where there was no mention of the domestic violence claims you previously talked about. So after that, did members of the Boynton Beach Police Department pressure you into remaining in on the investigation?
Yes.
And at that point, after that second interview, the only recorded one, did they threaten to prosecute you unless you remained in the investigation?
Yes.
And that scared you, didn't it?
I mean, I don't want to use the word scared, just don't want to go through the hassle, you know?
Sure. Who wants to get prosecuted, right?
Objection.
Overrule.
Question.
Overrule. Ask a question.
Sure. I think you said, they also said that I was going to fall back on you. Is that your term?
Yeah.
That's a good point. All right, I just want to ask you that question again. You said that it didn't scare you, correct?
Objection, ask and answer.
I'm not sure where you're going yet, so overrule.
Your testimony about a few minutes ago that it did not scare you?
I mean, I don't like to use the word fear. I don't really fear that kind of stuff. I just don't want to go through the hassle.
Okay. All right, Judge, when I approach the witness, I'm now showing him I'll show the state first. Shihadeh, I'm now showing you a transcript from a hearing you testified. You just take a look, little circle section right there. And
Okay.
all right. And at the hearing, Mr. Claypool asked you, and that scared you, didn't it? And your response was yes, correct?
Yes.
You also testified that you felt like you were betrayed by Officer Moreno?
Yes.
All right. So I asked you specifically about a couple incidents brought up on cross-examination. That was a poisoning incident and a gun incident. All right? Isn't it true that you previously testified that you didn't believe her?
Objection leading and asked an answer.
Say.
Hold on. Approach.
All right, so isn't it true that the previous allegations brought up in cross-examination about prior attempts by Ms. Dippolito, you didn't believe, correct?
Yes.
And isn't it true that when you first contacted the Boynton Beach Police Department, as you've testified on direct, that you never thought that Dalia Dippolito was going to kill her husband, correct?
Yes.
And that's true today, right? And it wasn't until the Boynton Beach Police Department pressured you and harassed you and threatened you with criminal prosecution that you came to say the comments you just heard from Mr. Williams. Isn't that true?
Objection, leading and ask an answer.
Sustained.
One moment, Your Honor. Before we wrap up, I guess last couple of questions. I know it's about 5 o'clock. I'm sure everyone's getting tired. When you went to the Boynton Beach Police Department, did you have a legitimate concern for Ms. Dippolito's safety?
Objection, asked and answered.
Overruled.
Yes, I did, especially after Larry got involved.
Were you legitimately concerned about her hurting herself?
Objection leading.
Sustained.
Do you have a legitimate concern about domestic violence?
Objection leading.
Sustained.
Were you concerned about your friend's safety?
Objection asked and answered.
Overruled.
Yes.
And 8 years later, 8 years later, you still feel the same way? You were concerned about her safety?
Sustained.
Mr. Shihadeh, last question. On July 31st, 2009, did you call the Boynton Beach Police Department to report a domestic violence incident regarding Dalia Dippolito? Yes or
Objection,
no?
asked and answered. And leading.
Sustained.
Nothing further, Judge.
You may step down. Thank you, sir. You're released. Neil. Hang on just one second. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to go ahead and break for this evening. Tomorrow, I'm going to ask you to be here a couple minutes later, and I'll tell you why. I'm going to say 10 o'clock instead of 9:45. Here's why. Tomorrow I have what's known as a calendar call, which means I have a bunch of lawyers, a bunch of people coming in here for me to tell them when they're going to go to trial. And there's about 45 cases coming in. It's a regularly scheduled calendar call. So it might take me a little bit longer to do my morning docket. And so I want to get you here at 10 instead of 9:45 so that if we're running a little bit late, I don't have you waiting. I'm just afraid it's going to take a little bit longer because I know there's 45 to 50 cases coming in tomorrow morning for that calendar call. I'll move it quick as I can, but it could take a little bit longer. So instead of having you waiting around, I'll just take you in a little bit later. The procedure you're going to follow is the exact same. You're going to come, sign in, go to wherever Deputy Cascone tells you to meet. When we're ready, we'll bring you to the jury room, then we'll bring you back out. So we're going to let you go for this evening. As always, you can leave your notepads there. We could probably say it together. Please do not communicate with anyone concerning this case, including any discussions amongst yourselves. Do not do any research with respect to this case. Do not listen to or read any news accounts of this trial. With that said, you're released for this evening. Have a pleasant evening and safe drive home. What's that? Well, look, put them in the jury room for just, do I need to keep the jury here?
Yeah.
All right, wait in the jury room for just one moment. If there's something I have to adjust, we'll do it. Why don't we just wait till they go out? So I'll have to put this in. Yeah, you can, actually. I've been tempted to take it. No, I don't want to chew on a mint in front of you. Close the door. What's affecting the jury?
Oh, no. So you offered to her to testify again tomorrow. Obviously, not to be specific, if you've been instructed to.
Hang on a minute.
The issue we're having is she was supposed to be here first thing tomorrow morning. She was supposed to be in Phoenix, Arizona, for a letter from court. She's supposed to end testifying today. But the testimony occurred for tomorrow morning. She will not be able to testify until 2:30 p.m. She will be in the court. She has a letter from the court.
Well, no, I accept what you're telling me is true.
No, I mean, she sent us a letter and result for entry. We also have to, Your Honor, I'd like to consult with counsel about this before. Okay. Just before the jurors are released, we need to discuss it. They don't
Well,
their attendance and all that.
I need to bring him in anyway. I'll just bring him in and we'll figure it out. If I have to apologize to him, I've done it numerous times in this trial and other trials. So you guys still aren't in agreement on this, I take it, and I don't know what the state's position is.
$30 later, so we're gonna have you on the morning, so regardless.
No, I'll just bring him back at 10. If I have to excuse him until later that afternoon, I will. And we'll do some work ourselves. So we got jury instructions, which I'm going to give you tonight, so you have something to look at. But you guys talk, and we'll figure it out. But go ahead and release them. You guys hang around for a minute, though. Go ahead and release them. Tell them to come back at 10. Okay, what I'd like to do this evening is I have the instructions that we used for the last trial. I want to give them to you so you can look at them. And now I understand state's going to ask for some special instructions. So Ms. Rosenfeld, this is obviously without prejudice. And by the way, I have the two special you asked for before. If they're the same, I can simply print them for you. If they're different, you'll have to give me whatever your requested special instruction is. No, I understand. I'm just saying, what I'm giving you tonight, I'm just giving you what we gave the jury last time. Now, a couple things about that I want you guys to be thinking about at this point. Number one, understand, don't read into it anything about the fact that I still have in there defendant not testifying. I haven't done the colloquy yet. That's just from the last time. So if she decides to testify, obviously I know I have to change that. I know I have to put the other instruction in. So don't take anything from that. Here's the other issue that we discussed at length last time I want you guys to be thinking about. You may recall that when the state gave me their proposed instructions last time on solicitation to commit first-degree murder, there's an instruction on solicitation, and then the state proposed, because the state was concerned, they proposed the entire instruction that you give in a first-degree murder case, which contains a bunch of lead-in language about what is lawful and unlawful. And we had a whole discussion about that. Mr. Claypool, I believe, said, "Judge, I really don't want to give that. It's got the word kill in it 50 times. I think it's more prejudicial than..." And the state said, "Well, I think it's reversible error if you don't." And I think, Mr. Rosenfeld, you called your appellate lawyer. You came back and said, "No, it's not if defense stipulates." Anyway, that's a long way of telling you I have to figure out whether you guys want to go the way we did before or you want to put all the other stuff back in. So that's an issue. If you still want to waive it, I think it would have to be done on the record this time around. If you guys still believe that all that lead-in language shouldn't be in there and it's better just to do what we did last time, I think you have to affirmatively do it on the record so that the state doesn't have any concerns about there being an appellate issue. I don't know, but that we had that whole, do you remember that discussion, Mr. Claypool? You were concerned about it? Yeah, okay, yeah. And your position may or may not be the same this time, I don't know. But if it is the same, I'm just going to have you say on the record, we prefer not to have all this other superfluous language in here which keeps talking about killing.
Mr. Claypool, Senior, number 2, to my department.
Yes.
Our position will be the same. Our position would be the same as the last trial, so whenever you need to put it on the record.
We'll litigate that, but we're going to agree on that, Jim.
Same instructions.
So your position is the same, that all we should do is have a definition of first-degree murder. You should, because our jury instructions here have an introduction to murder, and they talk about, there's a whole list of things that they talk about. And again, we had this big conference last time, and the state was concerned if I don't give it, it could be reversible error. Do you remember the discussion, Mr. Williams?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. All right. So I just need to make sure the defense is requesting we go the same way. And in just a minute, I'm going to give you copies of those instructions so you'll be reminded of what we did last time. And again, it doesn't include your requested special instructions, but I still have them. So if you want me to print them for you, I'll be happy to do that.
Sure. Yeah, that'd be great. I'll print out and showcase tonight the instructions from the did you give last year?
I'm going to give you what I gave.
Oh, you're going to give us the full ones. You're giving us both.
I'm giving you what I ended up reading to the jury last time.
Perfect. All right.
Okay? It doesn't include your special request instructions because I think I denied the request last time.
Give us that in a separate packet. That'd be great.
Yes, I'll do that. Mr. Williams, did you were standing at the podium like you had something else to say? Okay. All right. Okay. Wait here. I'm going to get you copies of that those jury instructions. I didn't yet print the specials. I can get you the verdict form too. It's the same one. If you want me to take a second and print that for you, I'll do that right now. Okay, give me a second. I'll get you all of that.